just throw.
Could you do that again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We're good.
We're on now.
Okay. Position, but
All right, welcome everybody to the first meeting of July 2020. And it seems to me like July 1st rolled around pretty quick, but I gotta be honest. That just means we're just that much quicker to getting out of 2020 because it ain't been the best of the year yet. So, but welcome, and as usual, we got a window of opportunity here for anybody that's been anything that's not on, and I see Marty got her hand up. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we have 5 candidates in the 2020 Miss Scott County Fair Queen Pageant, and they are Grace Iglehart, Quinn Lawson, Brooklyn Blaylock, and those 3 are from Austin High School. Then we have Katie Brown and Isabella Mizak, and those are Scottsburg girls.
Okay, 5 candidates.
Yes.
Doing it all virtual, I guess, is what they're.
We're going, the girls themselves are going to be allowed to invite a certain number of guests, and they will sit in pods on the gym floor there at McLean Hall. And then the public will have to watch it on Facebook as we stream.
Okay.
And that will be July 12th at 6 p.m.
We wish them well. We wish them all well.
I got a question on that. I mean, I know that's associated with the state of Indiana.
Yes.
So how's the state gonna recognize those people?
They're apparently just simply going to congratulate them this year, and then the girl, of course, will reign until next summer. Then the 2021 queen will be selected, and then in 2022, January, when they have the convention of fair associations, both queens will compete for the state title.
Okay. So it's gonna be a double your damage.
Correct.
Now, as I have heard, I think it's still on, I think they're actually planning a fair parade for the July 12th too. Isn't that
Yes,
correct?
and that will start at 3 o'clock and follow the route, most of the way around the downtown square, and then to South Main Street, and then go on Lover's Lane, cross 31, and then go into the fairgrounds by the back gate.
What time to start?
At 3 p.m. on July the 12th.
Nothing's changed.
Harold says 11.
Same old, same old.
They are so wrong.
I think I was right today.
Oops.
Okay. Anything else? Wonderful.
That's it.
Thank you, Marty. Anybody else got anything that's going on with them? If not, we'll jump right into the agenda. First thing up is the Venture parking lot lease agreement on North Gardner Street, and Bob's been working on this. Bob, you feel comfortable with this now?
I feel comfortable not with the one that was in your packet, but the one I just handed to you.
Is that, I'm assuming this
It
is?
says $1,500 a month.
You got that?
Don't have it.
Here it is.
Oh, that one. You have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, and it is allowing Venture to park, right at the moment, it's 13 tractors to be parked in designated parking spots at the health department. Rental amounts would be commencing July 1 today. Agrees to pay should that not read to us instead of to the health department? Should that not say to Scott County government? Scott County.
Well, it did until they changed it, I guess, today.
Because
I didn't,
the packet one has Scott County.
that's not right,
But
but
not
the number's not
But the
right.
number's not right.
I'll change that if you want to.
Yeah,
I'll change it. Let me see what you got, Bob.
They actually changed it to, they had it right, but the amount was wrong, and now the amount's right, but
Scott County.
I will change that.
Okay. To some, the amounts, I guess is what we.
The amount's right, but they just changed it in one spot.
Okay.
But I will change that before I let go.
Okay, all right, sounds good, sounds good. And that will be, it'll be $1,500 per month, and it'll be payable due the 5th of each month. And I think, shall be for 1 year period at the initial term, and then the leasing may elect to renew the term of the lease. parking, minimal maintenance only.
The other issue is, the general manager acknowledged with me over the phone that it might be that they want to be able to have electricity and to be able to do whatever you do with
They
trucks.
plug them in the winter time.
Yeah. So if they do, he understands that we will have to get together and negotiate that, because he acknowledged that they would be responsible for that. And if we have to pay it, he would pay it back, or we would reach some kind of agreement about the electricity.
Well, quite honestly, if he's gonna plug trucks in, there's gonna have to be some poles or some
Yeah.
boxes set up, because you just can't all pull up to one pole and
No.
hook up, so.
Yeah, he understood.
There's
that.
some- And actually, Bob called me this morning, because when, I think our original discussion with them, it was $300 per truck, and there was 36 trucks, so, but then it turned into, when the agreement was sent, that they said $300 for the month for as many trucks as they want to put there, which Bob called me this morning, I said, well, the going rate is $100 normally per tractor, per space, per month. So, anything less than that, and then there's a flexibility of how many trucks he's gonna have there, so, I told Bob, I said anything from 15 to 2,000 a month is probably a reasonable figure, so. And actually at 13 trucks, it's over $100 a truck.
And I was just looking at that there, and the only thing I see that I think, in my opinion, should be in there is, the spaces will be leased for 13 tractors. And I understand, even one or two, but if we hit 20 or 25,
Yeah.
then we need something.
So I think it's understandable, yeah.
Yeah, then we need to have a number, whether it's $100 per truck, after you pass 15, it's gonna go up. If you put 20 in there, we're gonna go up another 500 a month. And I think that probably needs to be spelled out with him.
I'll talk.
That's the only thing I can see there, because like I say, it could very well turn into that 36 truck a little bit,
And it could be less too.
Yeah.
I mean, that 300 a month might be a minimum.
Yeah, and I think we're saying that it's a minimum of 1,500 a month
Yeah.
in the park. Anything, I'd say 15 trucks or less there. I'd give you probably 15, because that's $100 a month. But anything more than that, then we're gonna start tacking on.
Okay.
So if he parks 7 there, it's still gonna cost you the 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be the way I'd say it's a minimum of 15 a month, 100 a month. And that's what I think, but, yeah, so what's your, John?
Well, also with that, is this money gonna drop in the general fund, or is it going to a specific fund?
We can do whatever we think's best on that. We have to decide that tonight.
Tammy's gonna decide when she gets it. I don't like to not go in the general fund.
Yeah, general fund would be what I would say it would go into, because the property is obviously owned by the board of commissioners, and it's not related to the health department, so general fund would be.
Well, we were talking last meeting about finding money to mow cemeteries and stuff. I mean, why couldn't we take that fund and put it in a commissioner / maintenance fund, where when we have situations like that, we don't have to sit there and go, well, we don't have a pot to piss in, or we don't have a damn dime, so.
Well, and if it's possible, I think, and part of it, I would love to see something like that. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, is one of the things, and I don't think it is fair, that's who's gonna probably wind up doing it, but I don't know that it's fair for the county highway department to use their budgeted money to do like the mowing of that place out back. And that needs mowed right now, that needs bush hogged, and I'm hoping.
We were talking about, well, TIF will take care of the property in Austin, but
Yeah.
we have other properties that we're.
Yeah, so I would love to see at least a portion of this, or be able to go into some kind of fund that would be used for maintenance of county, any county grounds that we may own. I think that would probably be a logical thing if we could possibly do that. And,
really not appropriate for the county highway to use those funds to do what the general fund's supposed to pay for.
Yes.
That's, I mean, technically, we should have an interlocal agreement, even though it's the commissioner's responsibility and the commissioners control the county highway and are the executive for the county. It's still not appropriate to act like you can just swap those funds back and forth.
And that, $1,500 a month, that's $18,000 a year that would be coming in, and I think that would go a long ways to maintain.
Home rule fund. We can create a home rule fund, and then that revenue would be put into that. I mean, there could be a small home rule fund created, and it would be an ordinance you all would adopt, and it'd have a specific revenue stream identified and a specific purpose, or purposes identified, kind of like you do when a sheriff comes over and says, I've got this money coming in, I want to use it for equipment and whatever, radios or whatever. You guys we could come up with whatever your purposes would be, and you adopt an ordinance, and we would track it. It would get a fund number, and we track it individually.
Okay.
Okay?
So I guess, just to piggyback off that, is the Verizon tower money that's coming in, where's it going?
I mean, if that's not come in yet, so we
I know,
haven't,
but
we
I
haven't
mean,
entertained
we
that.
may have to entertain a place to,
That could be where
Put
both
that-
those incomes could go in, as far as I'm concerned, because it's related to the same property. I
Yeah.
mean, and we could
I just
consider that
want to see if
income.
we can
Mhm.
get a situation where if we need to mow something and it's obvious we need to, and we're gonna contract it out, then we need to have some funds to be able to do it without going to the council and saying, hey, can you find us some money? There's money generated, and if it goes to the general fund, it's gonna get lost somewhere, so.
Mhm.
So-
I assume we could use that.
If you create an ordinance establishing a fund, and then you identify the revenue streams, and then you would identify then what your purpose is that it would be allowable for, because State Board of Accounts will audit us and the expenditures against your purposes identified. So as long as that's all clear, we're good to go.
So maintenance kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that would be.
So I mean, we
And-
can come
and-
up with.
Yeah, because there's gonna be times that we've been talking about that, I mean, for whatever reason, if due to whatever, if we have to bring in an outside mowing service to mow the courthouse lawn or whatever, we need to find money somehow to do that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
we do have
So-
commissioners fund over
That's in general.
Yeah.
Your
there.
budget's
We
in
gotta go
general.
with them to.
So this is gonna be outside of general fund.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept Venture's lease agreement for a year for the $1,500 for up to 15 trucks, and for the electric to be additional if need be. So, and also that the funds are put into a commissioner maintenance agreement or ordinance that we do later. So,
Okay, and just so we're clear here, up to 15 trucks, so and then you'll put in $100 per truck after 1500, after 15 trucks, is that fair? Okay, you good with that? Okay. You second?
that's the going rate.
Aye.
So.
I'll make that analysis to do that.
How much we got coming from the tower? That one's very nice.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
700 and something a month. Was that right?
Yeah, I thought it was more than that.
I can't.
I thought-
You know, too, that's pretty good chunk of money.
Well,
Should.
yeah, should have. The one thing is it does say that this agreement is made today, and that they actually can start parking there
Today.
today. Have we decided where they're going to park?
I'd say they're gonna park on the side,
I
on
don't
the
think.
north side of the building, probably.
And
Yeah.
when I talked to them, they were gonna make sure they came in off the north lane there. They weren't gonna be coming in the front, they were gonna come in the back.
And then park against the north side of the property.
No, south side, what I understood.
South side.
Or, I'm sorry, east side, back into where your tower's gonna be. I might be
Oh,
wrong.
back behind
Yeah,
that.
that's what I thought. I don't know if
I'm okay.
It's kind of dark back there. I thought
Wherever
there's
they-
light on the side.
That was the understanding I had in the original agreement, so I don't know if we.
As long as they don't block egress all the way around the building, I don't care where they park.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want them on the south side, but I think that
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, I think
The
that
north or the
north
east or what?
Yeah, north or the east, I'm gonna keep them, I don't think they're on the west end, you know, north or
I
east.
thought they were gonna park on the east side.
All right, next up is the EMS director, job description revision. And this has been revised, and this has been through the
EMS board approved.
advisory board, right?
Right.
And basically, I think it just, the changes have been marked in here, and I think it was, that you've taken out, that they have to be a paramedic, correct?
Right,
And,
that's an option.
The individual must be able to perform each essential function of the position satisfactorily and requirements listed below. And I think they pulled out where they had, as director, you don't have to be a paramedic. We've done that back when it was first started with us. And we felt like that was, you was gaining another paramedic. But I think the biggest thing is they need to be able to have some business experience and some management experience.
I got a question, Gene, since you're here. I know in the past, because you've changed it now.
Oh,
but
it's a
in-
major change.
But in the past, when the director had to be a paramedic or whatever, that in turn gave them options to be able to be a chase vehicle or whatever. So in turn, that person also had to live either in the county or close enough to the county line that they could respond. This person, if we hire a person that is a non-medical person, technically, they don't have to live in Scott County.
Well, was that a restriction that the commissioners placed on there? Because we never talked about that on our.
Well, I talked to a couple of people, past and present, and they were always under the impression that because they were a paramedic and had it, and were given a chase vehicle, that they need to be within driving range of Scott County.
We did not continue that conversation at the oversight committee, the first meeting we had maybe 2 weeks ago. We were talking about that whoever director is may not need to have a vehicle.
That's where I'm going.
That's right.
Two things I'm going there. A, they may not need a vehicle, so in
Right.
turn, they could live outside the county and commute in their own personal vehicle. And that way, you know, we're freeing up a vehicle, a
That's
chase vehicle. And the second thing is, there's no reason for them to have a vehicle
No.
because they can't respond to medical, they can respond to medical, but they're not a medical person.
Right, and that was
So-
a conversation we had,
Okay,
yes.
I just want to clarify that, so.
I don't think that we, I cannot ever remember anything saying that they had to live in Scott County because actually Jacob lived outside.
But Jacob, that's why Jacob did live in Henryville for a little bit, but he moved to Miller Edition.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah, I do know he moved.
when he became director, he went from down on 31 in Henryville and came up here.
Okay. I don't ever remember that being, we certainly want to try hard, people from Scott County, but again, that's never been, I don't think, that I can ever remember.
And I think there's one place in the handbook where it talks about that you have to live within a reasonable, not 15 to 20 minutes. You'd be able to be on your job in 15 to 20 minutes or something
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
that's what it is.
I just want to make sure, because if
No.
we're looking for people,
Right.
and that person says, well, I live in Clark County or Jefferson County or Jackson County or whatever, and we say, well, you know, you're not eligible.
right.
I don't want that to be a
No.
factor, so,
I agree.
and I think you cleared that
So
up.
I'm curious on the job requirements. It says bachelor preferred or associate degree or advanced workforce and management leadership. If I'm reading that right, you don't have to have a bachelor or associate. It's
That's how I
preferred.
read it too, and I'll be honest, we kind of went backwards on this. I met with Tammy last week, because I didn't see a reason to recreate another job description that's already been approved in the state that encompassed everything we wanted. Why don't we take from one that's been approved, gone through the process with Wagner and Shealy and all those people, and that's what we did, but we tweaked it for us. This was the way it was written originally in the counties that we lifted. But we added the verbiage about bachelor preferred. They had bachelor in there, but we wanted to make it at least stated it was preferred. Because they would, you know, hopefully, increase what the salary would be.
And the reason I'm asking, is the last meeting, we said that we still allow people with some other
That's right,
heritage still
they should
apply.
still be, and I kept that in mind when going back to this.
Yeah.
But it's equivalent experience, I mean, it's, you know, it's bachelor's preferred, but if you have equivalent experience, then, you know, that supersedes.
Yeah, yes, and that's,
Yeah.
this is pretty open.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
that
that's-
everyone should be happy.
I think this was in, something similar that was in the old.
It was just worded a little bit.
Yeah, but it's a bachelor too,
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I haven't read the whole thing, but I mean, it's basically the same with some of those, even the major differences, would you?
I think there's a little bit more stress on the management side of it, the budgetary side of it, just the whole leadership skills you need. It doesn't mean you have to do it yourself, but you have to know what's going on if you delegate to others within the
Okay.
department.
Yeah, and I said I didn't read, I did read it earlier today, and I read the old one too. That was what I read too, is
Right.
stress and management.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
The only drawback I ever see from services is, there's opportunities whenever you're leading people that you don't have the same skill set that they have. So in turn, they kind of look down on you. And that's where this manager is gonna have to be a good manager and a good communicator, because
You're right.
they're gonna say, well, you don't know what you're talking about, because you don't walk in our shoes and you don't know what we're talking
But a
about.
good leader knows how to
That's-
handle
And
that.
that's what I said, it has to be
Right.
it has to be the right person in that situation, because if you walk in saying, I get it with my drivers, I mean, I'm not a driver, so I mean, I have to explain to them that, you know, I don't drive a truck, so I don't know what you're talking about, but, you know, I'll listen to you, but, so anyway, I'm good with this.
Yeah, I am too. I think, and to piggyback off what you just said, I think, and I do understand what you're saying, but I think the biggest thing that the person that needs to be in this position needs to understand what we need to emphasize is that, again, this is a business, that it needs to be run like a business. And I think that's going to be the key to it. And, you know, that happens every day where you've got people in charge over people that's in the construction field, that's, you know, that's got a lot more probably degrees behind their name, but the workers do than the guy that's running it. But I think the right manager can make that happen, and they can make this to continue to be the service that we want it to be, and it has been.
There was one thing that I brought up in conversation, and I do feel strongly about, and I'm just saying this from my perspective. Not understanding the day ins, day out of the EMT and the EMS world sometimes puts you at a disadvantage, but at the same time, I know from a management standpoint, if you can go out in that run and they're short-staffed, you're gonna go out in that run, but the problem is, you're letting something else go, on management end of it, and leadership end of it, so it's so easy. You've gotta separate yourself sometimes, and that's the challenge as a leader.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the job description as presented to us here tonight for the EMS position.
I'll make a motion.
John has made the motion to accept this. You okay, Mike?
I'll second that.
And I'll make that unanimous. And like I say,
So at this point, we're going to repost it, and would you send me a copy of that ad so I can post it some places on the interweb?
And some of the services that we've stretched out with 911 EMA actually give us some links to some of the online postings as well. That's part of that advertisement. So whenever we do this, we're trying to tap into some of those that offer the 30 days on something. So if you want me to, I will open this back up Monday, if that's okay, if that's preferable, or you good with that?
So we're gonna open it up, and we're talking 2 weeks or something, is that what we're thinking?
However long you guys want me to leave it open.
I don't want,
It's up to you.
I mean, I think we need to, I wanna give people the opportunity to apply, but we kicked this can down the road for a while, so I think we
try to
need
get
to.
somebody in there pretty quick.
2 weeks, we get enough people, we'll know, won't we? If we don't, we can put another 2 weeks on it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, with this, I don't see it any farther down on the agenda here, but I am going to,
Oh, yes! Oh my god, I just won $500 on college.
Congratulations.
God.
Right, you got the director's pay.
Yeah.
It's down,
It's
it's
on
later,
the-
yes, yeah, I've got to let that
All
word
right,
combined.
that's fine. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay.
Marty's got to leave.
All right, I got it.
Uh,
On the second part of this proposal for additional staffing, I know I talked to Bob about them having trouble manning that third truck, you know, a part-time heat type of truck. I actually reached out to Pat and asked her to come up with some figures of staffing the third truck with a full-time, 2 full-time people, a full-time paramedic and full-time EMT. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I guess technically that schedule can be whatever it is. She did some figures. Here's a copy for both of you guys. With her current budget, and because they did not remount a truck this past year, and there's $150,000 that they left in their budget to be able to use for, I guess, the raises that the county gave them at the end of the year. So she's actually figured a bunch of things here with benefits, the cost of that paramedic, that EMT guy for the rest of the year. And actually, she has enough money in her budget to be able to sustain hiring those people full-time. And at the end of the year, she would have, if no other emergencies happen or whatever, she'd still have $17,000. It's like $277.07 left in that line item.
When you say she, you,
Half.
okay.
But that was my thought of the talking with EMS personnel, but evidently Danny has sent me a schedule of some sort of saying he wanted to hire 4 EMTs, and by his option, they'd actually be in the negative $14,266.64 if they hired 4 people, and those 4 would be 4 EMTs full-time to cover the third truck. And I'd have to get with him, or he'd have to come in there and explain his reasoning for the 4 people and the schedule they'd have to work and all that other stuff. But if by chance because right now they're having a hard time filling this third truck with part-time people, and some of the reasoning is that some of these part-time people actually work outside the medical field in other jobs, and their employers have asked them not to work at EMS during this time because of the COVID stuff, and so those people aren't available right now. So I don't know how many of those people we're talking, but that's some of the info I'm getting from EMS is that, you know, it's hit and miss whether they can man the truck or not. The issues are still happening, and the issue that I don't want to happen, I know Jean's here and she probably knows what I'm talking about, is that there's starting to become a conflict with the hospital and EMS about these runs, about the transfers, and to the point where we're refusing transfers from the hospital and telling them just to find another EMS service to go get them, because they just, there's not a third truck, they're busy that night, or whatever the reasoning be, and I don't want our EMS service, they're short-staffed and need that truck, and I think we need to hire 2 more people and be that way, or, you know, to assist them. We definitely don't want a conflict between the hospital and anybody. Definitely don't want the hospital going outside and pulling another EMS service in here to do transfers, because that's where most of the revenue comes from. But it sounds to me like, and I mean, I'm going to say this, and I don't like it, but right now with the COVID money that we have, $750,000 or $770 that's set at the state, I think some of this we could probably recoup, if not all of it, for the third truck. Because it is part of the COVID issue is that why we can't get the third, the part-time people to fill the positions because their employers aren't allowing them to work their second jobs. But, so I mean, there might be some money recouped, but as of right now, they have their money in the budget for the rest of the year to do this, and you have the numbers in front of you, so.
Is, the number that I'm reading here is for the 2 full-time employees to staff that third truck is a paramedic and a EMT. And am I reading that correct? It's $174,000?
Yeah, that's for the year,
That's for the year.
and we're already halfway through the year.
Okay, so
she's
yeah,
split.
okay, we would be okay then. The only, what we do now is I'm assuming is going to carry over to the next year too. And I'm not seeing, and maybe you are, the run numbers, or is the
I
run?
don't see those
You
now.
don't, you know?
But I did talk to Kyle when I was here last week, and he was explaining the problem to me. But you're right, you do not want to jeopardize your relationship with the hospital.
No.
No.
And I guess, and one thing, and I got a call over that, and it's already taken place when it happened this weekend. And again, I think that's why it's imperative that we get a director in here quick, because, I don't think that there's, in my opinion, if the directors is the one saying we're not gonna do it, that's one thing. But I don't know that we want this, anybody saying that, we're not gonna do it today, or we're not gonna, and again, I don't know, I think we just gotta be real careful on how we handle that. I think that, a director is what we're missing, and I think that's what we need. So, I think that's imperative that we get somebody and get them on full-time and let them make them kind of decisions. But I'm good with that. I've said, let's bring that truck up if that's what they need. This is hard times, and I know them guys that run to death, and I'm okay with that. If it's,
Pat did say that
if
she
the money's
could
there,
get
I
us,
don't know why we're not doing it, bro.
she did say she could get any types of runs that we need. She goes, do you need me to get it? I can tell you what type of runs they are, what days they're running, what hours they're running, and each,
I
they
think
need
it would
that.
be wise, I think it'd be wise, I'd kind of like to see that. I'd kind of like to see a list of that, on how many runs we're actually making per day, how many, and each unit, how many to each unit, if there's 2 units running, I don't know how many, unit 1, unit 2, what the runs were, and the days and the times that we took involved. Because a lot of times they do, they get outside of the county, they maybe transfer somebody to Bloomington, to IU,
Right.
and you lose an ambulance, for probably 3 to 4 hours there. So I understand that it's something that we need to look at here.
Did Mike say there's already been a couple runs refused, requests?
I know of one. I know of one over the weekend that didn't take place, but they did have, I think, an ambulance. It was an outside service here that was there within less than 30 minutes to make that transfer. And time I got word of it, they did already, the ambulance was there and was picking the person up. So at that point, yes, there was one over the weekend that I know that didn't get transferred. So, and again, I'm like Mike, we don't want to get into that kind of situation, and we certainly don't want, but we don't want to put our employees at, if they run all night, and if it's an emergency situation, I think these people have all said that they would get up and go. But if it's not, if it's a non-emergency transfer, then, I think it's what they're asking is, if it don't have to go right at this minute, maybe it could wait a little bit. And so, I'm no doctor, I can't make any decisions.
I had a long talk with Danny the other day myself, just talk everything out. And he told me that same evening he was having a meeting with the hospital. I don't know, he met with the board, he said he was going to meet with the hospital to try to air some of the issues out. And that's a good thing. And he also told me about 4 more people there. And I told him that was going to be a hard sell. Not that I wouldn't go with him and support it, but I thought that'd be a hard sell. And quite honestly, I told him he'd have a few more talk with you and bring you out there and show you around the place a little bit, and maybe if he got something worth showing, he'll talk to you about it. That's my opinion. So I don't know if he will or not, but I told him what I keep hearing is less runs, and that doesn't mean still they don't deserve the help, it just means that's what I keep hearing. So if he wants to convincing us is one thing, convincing the council is another. You can go through us, but get to you guys is where the money comes from. So I recommend maybe give you a call, and some of the council members may be able to go over with you guys. So outside of that, he was trying to get some things done. He was being open with me, and I told him that'd be a hard sell, but you can convince everybody over there.
Well, I haven't talked to Danny about his reasoning for the 4. Looking at the note here, it looks like it's still a 12-hour shift, but what he was planning on doing with 4 people is that they would work 7 days on, 7 days off. So that means that the 2 would work 7 days on, then the other 2 would be off, and they'd switch the next week. But I do a lot of scheduling. I don't know if that's the best way to do this. And the way I look at that is the reason I asked for a paramedic and an EMT is that if you're running 3 trucks and 2 of those trucks, one of those trucks is gone on a transfer or moving somebody or whatever, and you got a 3rd truck and it's a paramedic run and you have 2 EMTs, you can't take that transfer. So if you have your truck already set for paramedic and an EMT, you have 3 medics and 3 EMTs, you're set for all day long. So you're never going to get caught in that situation where you have 2 EMTs and you have a medic. So that's the reason I asked for it to be set that way. So anyway, I know it seems like week to week we're having issues with the hospital, and I talked to Dr. Crosdale the other day. He's on the light side, he's trying to be positive about it, but when it reflects on the hospital, that's where his bread and butter is. So and I know that he wants us to be doing that service, and I do too. But I also don't want to be putting our people in an unsafe environment by working too many hours with the transfers. So I'd be to set this up or do this and see what happens, especially since the money's there. So whatever we need to do, I like to move forward doing something so that.
So Bob, were you saying you were thinking we needed to wait a little bit, if we could hold off until a director was chosen, and then they could make that decision and hire, or no?
No, I think we'll move forward right now. I think we'll move forward with this right now. But what I'm saying is I think, that's one more reason for us to get a director in place, because I really don't think that we want to get into the employees just saying, we're not going to make this run. And I think that, if there's, again, I just don't think we want to get into that. I think
What kind of revenue do we lose if they don't take a run? I'm just curious, is that on there, Mike?
I mean, I don't know what it would be as far as
It would all depend on what kind of transfer. You could have if it's a paramedic transfer with a heart monitor and stuff. I mean, they charge for everything they hook up to you. So.
Well, I know we're saying that that's where our money comes from. I'm just curious how much we make.
Well, it's here. It's almost like Section 8, where you're guaranteed the money. The money's going to be there because either Medicaid, Medicare is paying for it. I mean, or insurance is paying for it. Where you run out to a traffic accident or you run to somebody's house, you don't know if you're going to get paid or not.
Right.
So you're guaranteed. I won't say guaranteed.
I would venture to say that the transfers is probably 60% or more of our revenue, just to be honest with you. I would think at least 60% of our revenue comes from transfer. So we want to make sure that we continue, I think, that service.
And we turned it down because we just didn't have anybody available, is that what?
time, there was one, I think, only one ambulance available, and it was a COVID patient, and the COVID patient, of course, we run into that, and if they would have been exposed, and they was, I mean, we would have quarantined the whole,
We'd have been down
we'd
there.
been down an ambulance, just.
So it's probably why too.
I think probably on that one it was.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't, I'm just saying that
Sounds
we just,
like it.
you know, we just need.
I don't know. They have equipment for all that. They're
And,
equipped for that. I know they are. Talk to them every week. They're equipped for that. I don't know why they wouldn't carry somebody like that.
and,
Phenomenal.
I don't know either.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
They got equipment.
there's also accidents that happen that you can get exposed, to where, you know, you could have all the protective equipment you can have, and you can still be exposed to something.
But they knew that was a COVID transfer. And they turned it down, why? Because it was a COVID transfer?
I don't think
So
that
So
was.
that's a problem. That's
I mean, and that's,
crazy.
so, anyway, well, Mike, only thing I can say is the money's in place at this point, right?
But not appropriated for that purpose.
So, the only thing that we can do, I think, on our end is, to take a vote to go to the council and ask them to appropriate the monies that's in place, to carry this out to the end of this year, and I think, you know, it's something that needs to be done on a full-time basis, and I know before they would always have to call the third truck up, but I think what we've got is just a shortage of people, that's part-time, and again, well, like you said, I think the problem is a lot of these people work other places, and these other places is not wanting them to work part-time.
I don't have any problem, with it. I'm just curious, where do they ask, do they just call them all the county around, you know? I
What are
don't know.
you talking
For
for?
part-time people run that third truck.
No, there's a part-time, they advertise part-time EMTs and part-time medics all the time. They have a pool, just like every county has a pool of part-time people. The issue is, like I said, there's a lot of people, because of COVID, are just absolutely not working because of it.
And I was just making the assumption, might be wrong, that they checked Clark, Washington, maybe Jackson, Jefferson. And I assume all them people are saying no to these people not to work over here. That's the reason I'm asking where they're really getting their, who people tell them no.
I don't know what your question is.
The question is, you said that so many part-time people are saying they can't work.
What I'm saying is that if there might be a part-time EMT or a part-time medic out here that is working at a factory or at a business that has nothing to do with EMS
Okay.
and any place, and their employers are telling them not to go work their second job as a part-time
Okay.
medic or a part-time EMT because they don't want to be possibly exposed coming back to their business and exposing other people, so.
And that makes sense, and of course, then I followed up with like, have we asked the other counties if they let people want to work for us part-time?
I'm sure
I don't know.
they advertise for part-time people all the time, so
Okay.
they have a pool of people. One thing I will say, and I said it a while ago, or reiterate, that I think we need to make sure if we bring this third truck on, that we document every wage, every overtime, all the stuff, and maybe we can recoup some of our money through COVID.
Oh, I agree, I think fuel, everything is, bring the third truck up, everything, it's gotta be documented, you know, because I think there is an opportunity to regroup that, and, again, for what's, even though it's not appropriated, and I asked Mike, why he's here, you know, the money is there, and, you know, I feel comfortable, but I'm like you, I'm kind of more comfortable with the idea of putting a paramedic and an EMT on the truck, because now you've got 3 trucks that can do anything. Where if you've just got, 2 trucks and you've got part-time EMT people, like you say, if that transfer comes in and it's a paramedic run, then we're still right back where we was. So I don't think it's benefiting us, in my opinion, if we don't have a paramedic and a EMT both. And I think I would be probably more in favor of that one than the other one, as far as
It will cost us money.
And this one here is.
This one here, we still have money, and still have money left over at the end of the year, so.
Let me make sure we're asking for 2 full-time employees for the rest of the year. Okay.
We're asking for a paramedic and an EMT on a 3rd truck for the rest of the year.
How many
And
hours
that-
a week?
60.
And how many hours a shift?
They're looking at 12-hour days, 5 days a week is what they're looking at.
So we could cut that 174 in half.
It's already half,
Yeah.
because half the year's over, that's a full year's
Yeah. I mean,
salary.
they wouldn't be asking for that much.
No, they're asking for half of it.
So that would be, 5 days a week, 12 hours a day.
That one-
Now, the only thing I see on that there is again, of course, I don't know if it's one day that's more, there's more transfers in there.
I think they'd have to make that schedule their own.
They do that, okay.
I'm sure there's peak times, and that's where they would have to look, and that might be a discussion they could have with the hospital going, hey, we're gonna have a 3rd truck on during these hours. I mean, if you got a transfer, or no, you're gonna have a transfer, and sometimes they don't, but, at least they would be able to work with them a little bit.
But if I've heard you right, the money's already in place, is that correct?
Pat told me that by her calculations, that right now, because they didn't remount a truck, they have $150,000. They've used 45, or they're going to use 45,000 of that because of the raises. That leaves them with 104,000, 457.32, and if you go half of the 174,360, it's 87,180, and that off of the 104 that they have in the bank, or they have in their budget, they'd have 17,000 left in the year.
And it's not been incorporated, so they
It's
would have to.
appropriated ambulance remount. They
I
would
mean,
have
they
to,
have to go to the council.
yes, because they have to create a line,
Yeah.
you might call it a 3rd truck, a personnel or
Yeah.
something, whatever they decide. And then all that payroll could be posted to that line. And then we could pull the expense side in and have a COVID account.
I'll make a motion to send it to the council for their consideration.
I'll second.
And that's for the 2 full-time employees, just after 3rd truck. That's for a paramedic and a EMT, correct?
Correct.
60 hours a
So
week.
that would be option 1.
That's option 1.
Okay. All right, I'll make that unanimous to do, to send it to them. Okay. Update on the Scott County Economic Development Corporation.
Well.
Don't monopolize the floor,
No,
Judy.
Maybe this one won't take as long. This, I meant to send out actually Friday, and I didn't, but I sent out an email to you all yesterday, late, and I apologize, with the board decision, the Economic Development Board decision to reorganize EDC. Basically, what's happened is the city's pulled out of all previous financial commitment. And I know you all had committed $65,000 for this year. We've never signed an agreement for those services, so you still have your $65,000. The city pulled out at the end of March, so starting April 1st, EDC's been operating on the residual funds that they still have in from the previous contracts. So even if we did sign an agreement with the county for $65,000, there's no way the present EDC operation can operate for $65,000 a year when they had a previous budget of around $225,000. So we're kind of, and plus EDC's never hired a new director. When Robert Peacock resigned, we put out, they posted for the position, we got 40 resumes. To me, it appeared there were some qualified applicants in there, but for whatever reasons, we never could get the full board to meet and decide on a date for interviews. We didn't have meetings, I mean, it just went on and on. I bet we had 3 meetings last year. So, it's just been, continued to operate with Anita out there. And then when the elections happen and there's a new administration coming in with the city, whatever's going on at Mid-America Science Park, it's not necessarily tied in with EDC anymore, because before they were all one movement, and now we have to separate ourselves. So the board really took some time looking at this, thinking, maybe we need to contract out for someone to represent us, some entity to represent Scott County that has economic development experience. And as today, One Southern Indiana came to the presentation for us at our board meeting, they called themselves, they could be a placeholder. We could set up an MOU and contract out for their services. They presently do an economic development and Chamber of Commerce services in Clark and in Floyd County. They already have some grant that they're doing some sort of representation along the I-65 corridor. And I think Steve Myers represents Scott County on that.
Yes.
So they know Scott County. And I think they did a fine presentation today. John came to, represent the commissioners as far as hearing what they had to say. But they're very open to setting up whatever kind of memorandum of understanding that we want to include in there. And they're willing to do it for $20,000 over a 12-month period. Financially, they're going to hold our place. We're still going to have some representation. We can kind of dictate what we want to have. And truly, I had Tammy go back and look this up in the original ordinance, but Scott County Economic Development was originally set up as a county initiative. It kind of morphed into a Scottsburg-driven initiative, and the county wrote along, but the commissioners really need to call the shots on what you want to do with economic development, what future direction you want to head in. And our recommendation was, today we voted and approved, we thought One Southern Indiana would do a fine job representing us, making sure we still continue with our 501c3 status, which is important to have, and they were pretty excited that we had that status. And I think they could open up some new doors and maybe help nurture some relationships that maybe we had, but we've not been tweaking them much over the last 2 years, and help us establish ourselves as a group that's county identified. And the possibility is always there in the future that maybe the city of Scottsburg and the city of Austin may want to join us in the venture in the future too. So I think this is a real opportunity, that's how you have to look at it, but we still need to keep our name out there.
So instead of the 65,000 that we had set aside for you, you're asking for 20.
Yes, and
That's a deal of a lifetime.
well, I learned from the best that we need to always keep money in mind. And they're willing to enter into an agreement with us that would cover August 1st through July 30. Anyways, the end of July of 2021. With the understanding that, we may renegotiate with them. We'll sit back and see. We'd like to still keep the board organized with the 3 seats as it is. We don't necessarily feel we have to have a physical presence in this community, but if they want to meet with somebody, we probably need to have an office that they could meet with somebody. And I think between the city and the county, we should work that out. And I think with the city, we might be able to work out someplace to store things. We're going to meet next week with Anita, the 3 board members are, and try to get a feel on where we are with files. The audit has not been completed for 2018, 19, and we want another one to be done for 2020 through the end of July. Joe Pearson's done an excellent job of taking 3 different books that Anita was responsible for and separating those books out. He's willing to contract for services, well, I shouldn't say that. It was recommended that Joe Pearson consider contracting with EDC if we need him for consultation purposes, because he knows everything about the budgets and the checkbooks and everything. I spoke with him last week to remind him that it was something that we might want to consider if he was interested, and he said, I'm more than happy to help. He did not commit to wanting to do it for money, but we'll see, as we get closer to what our needs are.
I personally think that probably is a good idea. Again, for 12 months, $20,000, it's cheap to me. I think that gives us time, and there is talk on behalf of the city of Austin and the city of Scottsburg to make this one thing for the county here. And it may be that that gives us the time to do that, and we can always go a different direction. But it gives us 12 months here, and like you said, it holds our status, it holds everything we need. So, I think it's that deal. John, you was there, what do you think?
If I heard Wendy right, and I first saw that paperwork, Washington County's already on board, is that correct?
I don't know what she said.
And
what
she said she thought Jefferson County was giving serious thought.
I did hear that.
On the
yeah.
paperwork, it said Washington,
Oh, okay.
so, I mean, and that's, so she's representing a lot of us. I think it's the best way to go. I mean, we're kind of just listless right now, I think, if we don't do something, and this is the best opportunity. If we don't like it, year down the road, we can do something else, but, it keeps us in the game, I think.
Now, I will bring up, there's still gonna be some costs beyond the $20,000 that we're gonna run into, such as the audit costs. I don't know what those are gonna be. And the city's willing to share in those audit costs.
Yes, he said that,
Yes, 2 times he said it,
yes.
and it's in the minutes.
Yeah, well, like, am I wrong, we're talking like 18,000, 12,
That's
somewhere?
that's what Anita said, I don't know,
Okay, all right,
I
Okay.
don't know.
all right.
But again, that's still, it's a savings to us. so it's still-
The, Raleigh told me to ask, so it might be more work on you. That makes,
What would be more work on?
for Tammy.
Oh, I'm gonna look at me.
Yeah, I thought he was looking at me.
Uh,
I've done all the work.
I gotta have him right there in the middle of it.
Oh,
He
yeah,
he
yes,
said to
I know.
mention that, and I said, okay,
Yeah,
what
he
that.
seemed, I don't know why he said that, I
Yeah.
think it
I don't
wasn't
see
right.
that.
No, I didn't either. I'm gonna try to keep you out of the rest of my
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But also, if Anita, she may file for unemployment. So that's something we need to look at city and county wise too. And Maybe she's
Who's you
entitled to.
file with, county or city?
Whoever they'll give it
They
to.
actually ran, they would have had their own payroll, so they would have put their state unemployment tax through, I would assume
See, we
EDC.
will pull you into it.
I would have, yeah, so whoever's gave her W-2.
But we can't solve that.
But we
That's
can't
not-
solve
That's
it.
not, that's not.
So just
Let me,
So I guess what we need is probably,
I'll make a motion to accept the 1/7 Indiana's proposal for the next year, and at that time, either look at it again, or renew it, or go a different direction, so.
and I'm gonna second that, but also wanted to thank Gene. I know how much work you put into this, Gene. I know you're making big bucks doing this. So, you're here, you've been involved deeply, and I appreciate what you're
Well,
doing.
thank you.
But I say,
all right, second, I'll make that unanimous to continue.
The minutes need to reflect that contract is not with the county, it's with one Indiana.
But they
It's
want,
with
it-
EDC.
it's with EDC, it won't be with the county.
Yeah.
But you're approving
It's your
what for
EDC.
presentation, yes.
Yes.
yeah, like you said, it's a reorganization, it's not stopping and starting over, it's a
No.
reorganization, so we have the same board members, everything stays the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the money's in place already to pay this, right?
No, we have not signed an MOU,
Yeah.
but we'll set up something.
But the
Our-
money's there.
our
But you-
money is-
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you all did an MOU with EDC,
uh,
and Anita tried to push that through about 3 months ago, and I'm like, I don't think so.
Tammy, isn't
So,
that
we still have that
redevelopment
money.
money? It's redevelopment money
I
paid
mean, our
for that.
65,000 is still sitting out there to be used, so.
yes, yes.
okay.
It's redevelopment paid for it, so, yeah.
And I'm all right, as long as, like I said, the money's all, it's still sitting there, so we're good, we're good. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I
Appreciate it.
second what John said about you, thank you for your hard work on that.
Thank you.
Raleigh and Holland, you know. All right,
Yeah, Raleigh, too.
building maintenance update, the HVAC service contract here. Yeah,
That much paperwork, it looks like a lot of money to me.
All right. So this is the HVAC contract that we have now for the jail and for courthouse. I think you guys have probably already seen this. It was when it was first done. It's not here.
it's not in the packet here.
No.
Okay.
But right now we pay around.
Is this the same company?
The Comfort Systems, we pay around $25,000 a year. It's like 12 something per installment. And I have had some problems in the past with different like filter changes and coming up with units that have a date of, a year and 3 months past, when it was last changed. I spoke with, Bob, and, he was gonna look up on, I think I was supposed to send this to you, wasn't I? Or did you?
Tammy gave it to me.
Okay, Tammy gave it to you. So, I don't know if you found anything on canceling or how we could go about doing it, but I think there's a couple different things with, I'd like to, if it's okay, if you get some quotes, more quotes to,
I guess I got a question before you go any farther. Is this the two companies that came in here
we had this
so many
one
years ago and said that we're gonna do this for you?
and that Hershaw train.
All right, so the other part of this is that, I'm a local guy here, so if we're talking AC units and we have AC unit, services in Scott County, is this something they can be doing?
Yes, the only thing that they won't be able to do would be the boilers, but each of them is also totally.
We have a boiler just in this building.
We have boilers in this building, and over there downstairs, but over there downstairs in the jail, they're the newer style boilers. These are I think I checked the tag, 94, 95. I mean, they're huge. There are a lot of electric costs. I mean, majority of our electric costs probably come from those boilers. So I'm actually in the process of getting some quotes to maybe try and do one. I don't know if they would both have to be changed at the same time, but do one time. And then you see what I'm saying, kind of interchange them, let them go out.
But the service work can be done by local HVAC
I think
people if we have.
I believe so, and I think the only thing, like I said, I think that when they did these, this was a company that had installed them, or had worked with the installers of it, so they were familiar with all the equipment that was put in. But I don't think I believe, in my opinion, it needs to be local, because there's sometimes I call. I had a problem this week with our cooling tower outside. It was hard.
First of all, you get a escalated service call because they're coming from Louisville or Evansville or something.
Yeah, so they showed up, that for instance, I should have brought it with me. They showed up to do just to look at a leak that we had downstairs in one of the boilers. And I got a bill for $507. And we were supposed to be getting a discounted rate.
So when's the contract up?
It's hard to, I couldn't really read it, but could you tell on that
I
printout?
think it
'Cause it
says
says-
auto-renewed this past January.
And it,
That's what it.
and I think there may have been like a 30-day, I'm not,
So we can get out of contract, give them 30 days.
I'm not sure, I'm not really sure on how.
No, 30 days before February the 1st.
So it's you can't cancel it at any time?
No. And I think the other thing is no matter what we would do, we would need to outline for them in some detail what's wrong and let them have an opportunity to correct it, which we've not done. We've explained that.
No, they have.
In writing?
Huh?
In writing?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, I've been emailing and messaging the guy, and they came a couple, times to try and fix some things, but that's like some of the issues that we've had, maybe. I'm not saying that it was their fault, but I mean, a unit went down because the filter wasn't changed for a year, or for, 9 months, the filter wasn't changed, so I'm not saying it was their fault that the unit broke down, but
So
it could have been
I
prevented.
guess that's where I'm a little confused here, is and when I was talking with Comfort Systems, we contracted with them to do preventive maintenance.
Mhm.
Now, once it breaks down, that don't mean that we have to use them if we can get somebody else to fix it,
Absolutely.
correct?
Absolutely.
But the preventive maintenance side of it is what is, they said for this amount of money, we will come
Service.
Yeah.
quarterly or whatever.
I think that's
you know, And but you're saying that they're not showing up.
Yeah, so like, for instance, on here, filters, I don't know if it's this one of those filters, and it would be like spring, summer, fall, winter. Well, one of those would not be X'd where they wasn't supposed to change a filter. So that means to me they would change those filters 3 times a year, but they don't get changed 3 times a year. they should.
Then at that point, I think, again, I think it's probably because it is contractual, it's gonna be a little more difficult to get out of that end of it. Now, when it breaks, I think we can call on whoever we can get to fix it.
Right.
But again, I think, contractually, I think we're probably gonna have to do, as Bob says, I think we're gonna have to document everything and, you know, and present that to them. And then at that point, I'd certainly put them on notice, if folks, you know, that we're not gonna renew this, and want you to know that up front, not unless you understand you've gotta fix these problems with us.
Also with
And I think
that,
that's what you would have to do.
also with that, I think I would reach out to, I don't know how many you wanna reach out to local and ask them if they can't, if they even want to do the preventive maintenance, the PMs on these, because they may not even entertain it, you know, so, but at $25,000 a year, I think one would.
I would think it's probably.
Especially all they have to do is drive by and change the filler, so.
So I think that's what we probably need to do is again, we need, again, and we need a paper trail, not just an email trail. Let's do a paper trail and have a file on this, that this is what's not been done, and this was in the contractual agreement that you were going to do, and, you know, I think at that point, we certainly gonna have to, again, that's just for preventive maintenance. If these things go down, then at that point, that would mean we got to wait 2 or 3 days to get these people.
But the other part of that,
I think the
Josh, is
agreement
that-
says they would do the labor for $105 an hour unless it is on a weekend or a holiday. So if we call them during the week, it ought to be $105 an hour. And it doesn't say including or not including transportation, so we can negotiate that or
Yeah,
fight about it, but I don't know how we got a bill for 500 or something.
But the other part of that is, if you don't have enough documentation, and you probably will never have that, to be able to get out of the contract, but when you get closer to January or February, or, you know, whenever the contract is due, I think you need to bring it back and address the commissioner and say, hey, you know, I wanna go in a different direction and have a quote or something from another company, so, or
Well,
other companies.
I'm kind of like you with, I just feel like, I mean, it does take them, you know, 2 or 3 days or something, maybe sometimes to show up depending on where they're at. And they'll send people from, I don't know where it's Springs, I don't know where it's at in Kentucky, but 3.5 hour drive down here, and then they charge us a transportation for that guy driving 3.5 hours, and
Yeah, they don't come for free.
but again, I think that's what Bob was just alluding to there. If they're charging, if there's nothing in that contract that says, now, they may be charging us $105 an hour for that trip up here. Maybe that's what we do. But if there's nothing in that contract there that says they're gonna charge us a transportation fee or, you know, a show-up fee or whatever you want to call that, they may just be, their time may start when they leave. And
It
they
says the
just-
preferred labor rate is 105.
Yeah, and so if there's nothing in there, I think that would be one of the first things that would be argumentative anyway.
Yeah, let me back up a minute too. If we're gonna look at this again, we don't wanna look at this in January. That's too late. We have to look at it the 1st of December or before,
Yeah.
to notify them before January 1st.
But I think right now is well, I think, again, go ahead and do a hard copy and a folder, and we send them a copy and saying, outlining, here's what we understood we should be getting, but, you know, we're not getting fillers. We found fillers that's been past due 9 months or 15 months or whatever it's been, that's not been changed, but yet we're paying this fee, and, you know, and you're charging us a transportation fee when basically it's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be $105 an hour during the week, more on the weekend, we understand, but if it's during the week, we should be paying $105 an hour, and I don't think anybody should be charging $105 an hour from the time they leave their building till the
Right.
time they get back. I think that's very argumentative too, so I think that's what we're gonna have to do to get, you know, to get.
And just just on the other stuff, if it does break, then just do it.
Sure, yeah, I mean, we have no binding contract
To where they have.
that are exclusive to work on this stuff. I think at that point, I think they're our exclusive preventive maintenance people.
That was something I kinda had over the weekend, that's why I said I gave them not, like I had them come back and fix it because it was something they worked on, was the cooling tower. When they were here, they changed 7 belts on the cooling tower. Well, 3 days later, there was 4 of the 7 belts came off the pulley. Well, it shut down every single unit in here, was going on and off, on and off. I worked on 1 unit for an hour, and come to find out when I got it to ceiling, I heard multiples going off. Well, then I knew that it wasn't that 1 unit, it was obviously something major. When I went, Eric went outside, the belts were off. So then I did call a local HVAC people and service, and then I got thinking, you know what, they did the contract, let me call them, or they did the belt slice, let me call them, find out what happened, and now we're in a thing where they came back, put new belts on it, and it did it again, so now I've got it on high constantly, but it hasn't came off yet, so it's, every time it switches into low gear, it jumps off the pulleys. So it's shifting, or something with the pulley is making it, so now we have to get a pulley. We have to get a pulley, or we have to get a motor, and we have to have that running. So that's the only, and that's why I gave them.
I think, but again, I mean, and I'm just speaking how I would do it, so, but how I do things sometimes may not be the right way either. But I think it'd be I'd argue the point that you're charging us $105 an hour, and you're not fixing our problem.
Right.
If this has happened, if you put the new belts on and they come off, and then you come back and you put new belts on again, they come off the second time, there's somewhere there that whoever done this should have been looking. We all know the belt is gonna jump off for no reason. There's gotta be something that causes it. So undoubtedly they was not looking for what caused it, in my opinion. So I think I would probably argue the point that, hey, I don't mind paying you for, fixing the problem, but fix the problem. I'm not just, I'm not training you on this job.
Well, and that was kind of something where they never jumped off before, the old belts never jumped off. We never had that problem until they put new belts on it.
Sure.
And then, I don't know if it was the tightness of it made it different, I don't know, but they jumped off after that, so I'll just keep doing it right now and then just readdress it.
But like I say-
November or
Send it to
something.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then on this next one, you asked me about generator, quote contracts, since that was kind of neglected a little bit. This company showed up, St. Landon, or Everpart, they do like Indianapolis quotes, obviously, some of their generators, but they showed up, did a quote. I did have another one, and I can't remember. Sheriff, I don't know if you remember who the other company was that gave that last generator quote, but I couldn't find it. I don't know if Bobby had it or
It
whoever.
was, Wayne Supply, wasn't it, down
In Salisbury, New Albany or whatever.
Cat dealers, yeah.
Yeah,
But this guy came in, he looked at all 3 of the units, and on the 3rd page, if you looked at it, the top one, the 550 kW Taylor, that's at the sheriff's department, and then the 100 kW is behind the dispatch, and then the 25 is the one here at the courthouse, which is kind of a small generator for this building, but it doesn't operate a whole lot in the building, it just does lights and stuff. But it's $29.05 for the PM, and then if we want a 4-hour load bank on the one at the jail, which I would suggest doing, that means they bring in a trailer and they hook up to run that, basically, they don't shut off the jail or nothing, but it's an extra $11.80, but
They come in and put a load on it?
yeah, they come in, they bring like a trailer the last time, not this company, but another one, they hook up they hook a bunch of huge wires onto the other side, and then they kick the power somehow on that unit, and it makes that generator kick on and run all the power that trailer is supposed to be, of how much power is coming out of the jail.
Sure,
That's supposed to be on it.
Kind of like a certification.
Yeah, and they run it to make sure it's gonna run correctly. Now, when he was here, he looked at like the filters and stuff on it, obviously. He said he doesn't think, even when we had that other company, that Buckeye company, he said, I don't think the filters on that generator has ever been changed. and he could just look at the filters and tell just by, I don't know if there's dates on them or what it is, but he said he doesn't see that it's ever been changed. So this was just one of the quotes. Seemed like a pretty legit company. Here's all this preventative maintenance stuff if you want to.
That's, I think it's listed in here, what he does. Yeah, that's all listed in mine here too, so that's the same thing that we got. Well, let me ask you this, now we had this done and the other company come in, is that running out? Are they no longer going to?
The company, it was canceled for some reason. I'm not really sure what happened. But it was dropped over a year ago.
And then did Buckeye go out of business too?
I don't know if they went out, they may have went out, but the company was dropped somehow. And they never could give me a name of where it was, who dropped it
Okay,
at the time.
okay, so we've got,
And it wasn't anybody here.
okay, we've got, the money's in place to pay this, am I assuming that right?
Teresa is gonna look at it with me. I believe so because we'd already had the contract had one in place. But again, that was over a year ago, so I don't know if something different has changed in the budget from when it was in the past to now. I wouldn't think it would.
But you do have a contract line, so
Yeah.
he could, if he's short a little bit, he could transfer or try to move a little bit up.
I just want to get something.
So it's been well over a year since,
Oh, yeah.
well over a year since there's been ATM maintenance.
We have had, somebody had come in and checked them, and they did some, I don't know if they did some oil changes or what they did. I know that one changed not too long ago? Did
Yeah.
Boo come in or somebody come in and,
No, we had the, Wayne Supply came up here and did it. And that's,
Yeah, Wayne
that's the
Supply.
ones Wayne Supply is the one that said it looked like its filters and stuff had never been changed on.
yeah.
And again, I don't know, I guess this is gonna fall under you, but I would want to know too, I think we should get a copy of anything that we do,
Mm-hmm.
and that should be kept on file. But as I'm, additional options here, and one of the things that I can see right here is the, for $25, you can get the oil analysis, and you can also get the coolant analysis. That oil analysis will tell you a lot of things. It'll tell you where, if there's metal fragments, there's wear going on the inside or whatever. I would suggest it. My suggestion is, to do this, and I'm gonna say we probably, that thing is no good if it will not run.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not doing us one bit of good.
Well, I mean, I had to come in.
If we have to call on that and it don't work, that don't help you a bit, Sheriff.
Exactly.
And so I'm gonna say that, if we're gonna do this, I would say incorporate that $1,180 into that. Let them load test that for 4 hours and make sure that this thing's gonna hold up. Because the last thing you wanna do is find out when you need it that it's not gonna work.
Well, we had that happen. We had a blackout went out. I was actually on my way back from Florida, and I had to make a trip here at 2 in the morning, and it was, all it was a trip breaker in the inside of the unit.
Well, let's, I'm thinking.
But I just wanna make sure this is
And this is
something.
a service, for service, and I think, again, if you're, happy with this company, and again, I'm not gonna micromanage every inch of what you do, so I'm gonna rely on you a bunch here about whether or not that, you feel comfortable with this company, okay?
Okay.
And, but if that's one that you think is the best for what we need over there, I'm gonna be all right with it, I think. What do you guys think?
You know the business.
So, at that point, I'll entertain a motion to, contract for services Evapar, am I saying that right? Evapar? And they, to do the preventative maintenance on the generators for the courthouse and, of course, 911 and the sheriff's department. And I would ask that you include into your motion go ahead and include the $1,180 for the 4-hour load bank test on the one at the jail, And also, this, for $50 more, we can do an oil analysis and a coolant analysis on it. I think it tells you a lot. I think we ought to do it also. Again, that would be,
I guess I got a question when you're talking about the load test. Why would we only do the one at the jail?
I don't know, I can ask them on the other ones. This one only runs the lights here.
I mean, I guess I understand that's a 24-hour facility and, you know, we can have people leave here, they can't have people leave over there, so,
I mean, I can ask and just see what the extra cost would be.
that was
if we
basically,
get a three, if we get a three for, you know, that'd be,
yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't know that they would have
And
to.
I would definitely agree on 911.
oh, yeah, I mean, I get it, but I get it on all of them. If we're gonna put
do it, yeah.
if you're gonna see if it's gonna hold up, then, you know, 911's, you know, I won't say as important, but that system goes down, we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
Sheriff, is that unit start automatically once a month?
Yeah, it's supposed to test itself every Monday, actually, once a week.
And when it say test it, does it power the jail at that point, or does it just
It
kick on?
just kicks its on,
The
yeah.
only
Basically just kicks on, recharges the batteries and does its
Okay.
own.
Yeah, and the only thing it does kick out is the elevator sometimes. It'll kick out the elevator until that shuts off, and then the elevator will restart.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to be in the elevator.
And it's happened.
I think that's the cost of $4,135 a year, to do that, and that's the load test. But again, I don't think that we, just because the engine kicks on and runs, the generator part of it's not working, and
That's happened before, too.
that engine don't do anything, so I would entertain that motion to do.
How much money can?
It's $4,135, and that's the load test, everything, and all the analysis and all the.
That's what the money.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, and John can, I think make a motion to accept what Josh is talking about with the generator at the jail and the other two as well, so.
All right, motion made, John
I'll
second.
second it. Yeah.
I'll make that unanimous.
And then you'll work out the money, right?
And,
Money there.
again, do we, need to sign one of these for you, or is there a signature required here?
Yeah, right here's the,
Stay out of the elevator.
and then you asked me on, getting, I think you asked me about go ahead and grabbing another quote that one time for carpet, I think flooring. That was the second one. There's two options there. That's like $15,000 more. The guy messaged me and somebody gave me my info and you did Washington County stuff and that was, yeah. It was, from another construction company on the flooring and the stuff here. It was, first option was all carpet, no vinyl plank, which I wouldn't do that. Was $42,500, and option two was vinyl plank in the hallways and carpet in the other areas was $49,375.
Okay, make sure that there's no that they understand what it is with
With
the additional down there that we added on.
the additional seats.
Yes, okay, that was it, 4135, so make sure that they know they got a load bank, test that, okay?
And
What about the sidewalk out here?
the week of the 13th, I've been keeping up with Jill because that's who's, county highway is trying to get with them on getting, because we're trying to do it all out here, and they've been busy with the roads and other things, and then the weather, it kind of rained on us a little bit, and I didn't really want them in the yard with the equipment. But I just looked at it again today, and it looks like it's getting a little deeper into there.
You just said it, the rain,
Yeah.
so it's washed out.
Okay.
So that's kind of hurt there. I did hire a janitor custodian. She's working out great. Her name's
Is this the
Marsha.
one you talked about?
Yeah, Marsha. Yeah, her name's name's Marcia.
Good lady.
Sebastian, she's top notch. She used to clean at another facility, like Stantec. And, I know they hated to see her go, but I think she's cleaning, normally we had a set day that they would clean clean one office Monday, one office Tuesday, and, like the courtrooms on Wednesday afternoons because they're out of there. But I got her this new cart with her trash can, and she tries to clean every office pretty much every day. And I have had her here for like training during the day, and I think it's working out honestly better because offices can have her do certain things if she needs it done. So I'm having her do that right now. But I think everybody likes her, but she is cleaned. She cleans anytime she goes in an office. She's cleaning. So I'm very pleased with it. So.
Good, glad to hear that. Okay, what about this Adam Chemical claims here? You got two of them
I
here.
went ahead and put those, since Josh was here, so if you
Okay.
had any questions. It's basically supplies.
Yeah. I think Mandy we had to do these. They sent us I did a claim and I had on the one, the back of it, I got it highlighted here on this one. This is the original, but we had did it.
Yeah, you don't have it.
I did a claim and I accidentally put, here was the total, but I had only put the total as 113 out of the 510. And this is for burst block. I don't know if you remember when it's been a while back, but we had like 500 gallons of glycol put in the system a while back.
Yeah, I remember.
And we've still got a bad leak, so I've got a company that thinks they can find the leak. It may be underground, I don't know. I'm hoping not, and that's one reason I don't know, I think the sheriff's department's pretty pleased with the mini split systems, and I really wish we could do that here. I don't know if we'll be able to. I mean, hopefully in the future, that would get rid of the boilers, that would get rid of the cooling tower out there, but we'd have to use it on the flat roofs. But I accidentally, we're losing glycol.
So you kind of only partially paid that invoice, so we.
I had partially paid it, and I had to make another one. That's what the invoice here is for, the $397.
$397?
Yeah, I accidentally did it wrong. And I think they just wanted to get it so she could get a check out tomorrow.
Yeah, just get it cleared up, because it's.
And
I'll
then
make the motion.
Mike makes the motion to bail him out. Somebody second?
No,
I'll make it unanimous.
Is that for both claims?
that's for you.
That's the only mistake you made here, all right.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, we're gonna take a little break right here, about 5 minutes. Then we'll be right back.
They just talked about that big sale we're having down at Coles, I think.
All right.
That got recorded.
So, all right, that brings us to the sheriff here. Sheriff, you're up.
I didn't know if he was gonna be quick, if he wants to go, I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Adam, you got something?
No, I don't have anything at all.
Oh.
I'm just observing it.
Okay.
Good deal. I'm gonna take care of you, Al. I got a couple things I need to talk about, nothing major.
Good.
Let's see here. One of them is, and I'll get this done first, is the pension. We just got our pension actuarial valuation, which we're in good shape still. So what I'm gonna do is, of course, it's just a bunch of numbers. So I'm gonna give it to Tammy, a copy of it to Tammy, and then she'll have it on file for you guys if you wanna look at it. And also, Tammy, this will be from Mike too. We'll remember this for the next meeting for the council.
Yeah.
So we'll just have, because I've only got 2 copies of it,
Yeah.
so you got a copy and we'll get a copy.
All right, very good.
Okay.
Couldn't do it.
Thank you.
All right, for that.
That didn't take long.
No, another thing we got, I want to talk about it, the garbage that we got over to jail. We're paying $671.50 a month to have our garbage removed over there by Rumpke. I don't know when it changed, I don't know why it changed, you know what I'm saying? But I talked to Scottsburg City. They told me that they would provide us, we would have to buy 2 dumpsters, they're $750 each, which would be $1,500 initially. But after that, they will charge us $360 a month to dump it 3 times a week. And it's a larger amount of garbage. They're gonna give us 2 dumpsters instead of just 1 to do that. So it would be $360 a month for Scottsburg City to do it, and it's $671.50 left for Rumpke. So we're gonna save $311.50 a month just by letting the Scottsburg City do it. Way that works is I've been paying for it half the year, and then Josh pays for it half the year out of his budget. So,
Contract with them.
well, we don't think we can find it.
Well,
Tammy, heard
I
that.
did contact her, and I
Okay.
apologize, because I was in the June settlement, so
Okay.
I've been like crazy till June 30th. So, I have some information for you
Okay.
regarding that. So I was contacted back I left a message for a lady at Rumpke, and she got back with me, but I've got it on the top of my desk, and it's next for you.
So we'll wait
So
till
I
next
will
month?
get, yes, if you don't
Okay,
mind,
let's
I
wait
need to
till
talk
next
to you about
month.
that,
Okay.
See what she
because
does.
I've got some details.
I got a question there. We got a guy that picks up trash at these pickup locations. Why can't we pay him to do that? He's got a dump truck or a garbage truck that picks up.
Well, the only thing it does not,
He just
he
2 days a
don't,
week,
he don't, he's 3 days a
3
week,
days.
but he don't, he wouldn't have the, I don't think the capabilities, I don't think that he has the capabilities of dumping a dumpster. And,
He's got a garbage truck that he parks out there. They just throw it in the back and he goes out and dumps it. I mean, I don't know if he's got the access to be able, I mean, I'm just saying, I mean.
I see what you're saying, but,
I mean,
but
we're
if it's
paying-
a dumpster, if it's a dumpster, you
But
know,
but all
all of them,
those
all of
dump
them.
trucks got the capability to hook on the back and pick a
You
dumpster
know,
up. I'm just asking, I mean, we already got him contracted, I mean, we pay him a little more to do his stuff. Or anybody else's for that matter. Why would we then use an outside service if we're already paying somebody?
I don't know how that ever got done. I don't ever remember that. I don't ever remember Rumpke ever, I don't remember contracting. It wouldn't have been on our behalf, it might have been on Dan's or.
Dan was here, and I think I went back to the minutes, Jerry, when I was looking ahead of time that day and looked for some things. And he actually changed the service at one point in time with you guys, because he needed an additional capacity, or there was something that came along, and I think that's when the renewal hit,
Uh-huh.
because when you renew your service, then you kind of start again.
Yeah,
And so, I've got some notes on that, but
okay.
I went back and looked through, but
I don't have a dog in the fight, I mean,
Right.
but it's cheaper to go this way, but like I said, I don't know if it'd be, if our guy could even do it.
Yeah,
So,
I-
and
it
We'll
would-
we'll be purchasing the dumpsters too, so they'll be our
I
dumpsters.
mean, hell, he may not even want to do it. I mean,
Yeah, he may not, but, yeah, okay, then you got that, we'll do that next week, next meeting, you
next,
say, okay.
you want
That way
to
we'll
July
have-
15th?
You have to get him, or are you on under contract with Rumpke?
Well, that's what we was trying to find out.
She
We
sent me
couldn't
some
find anything.
documentation, but I haven't had a chance to,
I mean, I've got Rumpke, but I mean, it might be a situation you can get out anytime you want, so.
I would think it would be, because I think the contract's been since Dan did, I think, what's 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer.
well, I think that's when Sheriff McLean renewed something, and I think it reset. From what I was able to look at, it reset it, so we ended up going out longer, like, I think he came in here like maybe in 17 or 18 and redid something, and I think, what I've seen so far, I think we're still in the contract,
Okay.
what I've seen. But I don't know for sure all
I
the
think, that-
details.
and I can, is it under the sheriff's office or is it under the commissioner?
I think it does go to the sheriff's office.
Okay, if it goes to me, then what we can do is I can break the contract, because actually it should be you guys, the commissioner, the sheriff should be signing the contract.
Let me
Is
just,
that right?
Phil, excuse me, let me just go grab that, because it's on my desk, hang on just a second.
We can get out of the contract then, because it's not an
If
official
somebody
contract.
pays for it out of commissary, you may not have to. But
I'm sure that's a budget line, isn't it, Mike?
I kind of remember a little bit about this, but I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it's under, comes built new jail, then go to a bigger capacity.
That's what, yeah.
But I don't know any more details than that. I just kind of remember it happening.
As far where the money comes from, you would have a line item when you're, would it be just general maintenance or something?
I'm sure, I don't know if it's in the sheriff's budget or the commissioner's budget.
It's in both.
It's in both.
I pay for it 6
Oh,
months and he
Josh does
pays
Oh,
part of
for it,
you do
yeah.
part of it. Yeah, it sure ought to be a line item.
I think mine's in contractual services is where we're
Yeah,
paying for
you
it.
probably sure have, yeah.
What else you got while she's doing that?
Let's see here, we got,
It'll be long.
one thing, yeah, we did. A couple things. One of them is that since the COVID hit, we've been doing everything by video camera just about. And for the courts, is what I'm saying. And it has worked out tremendously.
Good.
So, what we want to do is with the blessing of the judge, and they've already asked us if we could, Marshall's court's gonna be starting back up, Superior Court and Circuit Court. Well, when they're both running, we can only do one at a time because we've only got one TV set and one room to put them in. What we wanna do is we wanna go into our prisoners' training room where we got the computers. It's a pretty big room, it's about half the size of this. And we wanna build just two little bitty rooms, closets basically, to have the TV where they can sit in front of it and talk to the judges. And we can run Superior and Circuit at the same time. And he also said that we may even be able to, like, if Judge Frazier wants to, she can run a court and Jason can run a court. Both, you see where I'm coming from, Circuit, and then we could be running 2 and 3 courts at one time and really, move these things through.
That's that room in the basement, right?
No.
No, it's upstairs.
It's upstairs.
It's not where they sit up there in the panel and they watch all the prisoners.
It's where you get
It's
your
behind there.
graduation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where we had graduation.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think, quite honestly, I think COVID pushed those judges because some of them were doing it, some of them weren't, some of them didn't want to do it. And I think it's, you had that option, I think it saves your guy.
It does a
back and
bunch of
forth.
money too, because we don't have to have guys, girls come over and sit for 8 hours
Yeah,
on the court.
I think Evan Mount came in there and actually told us that it made him rethink the way he's doing that.
They didn't like
I'm
it.
good with that.
So,
Okay, so you get permission from you guys to do that?
Yeah, the way I'll make a motion that we allow him to,
you can't make it.
I sure can. This ain't Robert's Rules of Order.
I'll second it or third it or whatever. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Unanimous, how's that?
Okay, good deal. Next thing, State Board of Accounts, they've been over, you know what I'm saying, Heritage County working. And I got a letter from, or a letter, it was actually an email from Chris Sedan, he's the guy that's over here, he's doing this stuff right now in Scott County. And he had an issue with me using buy money out of my commissary, undercover drug buy money. And he said the reason why is that, and I'll tell you what it says here, it says, I got my glasses on.
There you go.
Several years ago, there was a push by our agency to have counties adopt an ordinance on buy money under the Home Rule Statute 3613. All counties that created this ordinance need to follow the ordinance or not be in compliance. I know the original ordinance only stayed for $1,000, which I'm sure is insufficient in today's time, so you need to request the commissioner to increase the amount and update the ordinance accordingly and provide you the funding. They are responsible for providing you the funding under this ordinance.
In other words, we can't come out of our revenue.
But it says that you, wherever you guys, yeah.
We can't authorize it to be taken out of the commissary.
No, he said we could, he said by this ordinance, and by the state law, we can't use buy money, you know what I'm saying, out of the commissary. It has to come from the ordinance, all the money we use has to come from that ordinance, that fund that was set up by the ordinance. There is an ordinance there, it's like $1,000 is what it was, but I mean, that's 2 days' work, you know what I'm saying? So we've been using everything out of the commissary. And I asked him, I said, since it's a fund created by the county, then the county be responsible. He said, and that was his reply. What I asked him is that if, like, say you give us $10,000, you give us like $1,000, whatever it is. Say I start to run out of money and I need money, can I use money out of the commissary and then just get reimbursed at the end of the year where it shows a paper trail where that, you know, we're getting reimbursed from the county? He said, that's fine. He said, as long as the county council will let you do that. We've already got permission from council to be able to do that.
So basically transfer the money into a different fund, which would be our fund over here.
Well, what we do is,
Still use the commissary money.
yeah, we would use commissary money, then probably at the end of the year, at the closing, you know, when we do you guys have the closing year-end stuff, is that you guys would just have to budget however much money that I spent out of the commissary. You just have to give
Pay it back.
the money back.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is transfer the money before you ever use it.
I say transfer from
Yeah,
commissary
transfer
to
to us,
that.
and then there's no repayment back, you've got it and you can use it, but it's still using
Yeah,
that money, but you're
Mhm.
putting it over in our hands.
okay, I'll ask him if we can do it, that's in
Maybe you
there.
can, I don't know. It's shuffling.
It's a good idea,
It's
yeah.
shuffling.
Because it would be there before,
Yeah, you'd have it, you know.
and there'd be a trail. Okay, I'll ask him that, because that'll simplify. If not, you know what I'm saying, next meeting, if you don't care,
Yeah.
we'll visit that again. So, let's see here. Here's the last thing that I've got, and this is gonna take some thinking on you guys and see what you wanna do here. We've got the military equipment down there, they have changed the lease sale program tremendously, you know what I'm saying, over the last couple of years. What we was gonna try to do was try to get, you know what I'm saying, Jill's folks tuned into it. But what's happened is they've got it now where that we can have only full-time police officers can be the ones that can have access to it. So it's changed, you see what I'm saying, quite a bit. We've got 3 Humvees down there that I think Dan got. It's been 6, 7 years ago, maybe even longer than that. They actually are in the sheriff's office name because it's against, I guess, the law for them to put it in your guys' name because it's military surplus. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to take those Humvees. There is a company in Bowling Green, Kentucky that's called the Bunker LLC. It's around Bowling Green, Kentucky. And they buy military surplus stuff. They buy, you know, all those kind of things. And he will trade us. He said he would do trade. He would barter with us for those 3 Humvees. If we traded the 3 Humvees, he'd give us a list of what it would be worth. They're around, all 3 together are around somewhere between $18,000 to $20,000 worth of worth, about $5,000 to $7,000 a piece. Only one of them runs. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to get permission from you guys to be able to go ahead and trade those for this. We've got some less lethal stuff coming in, which is bean bags. We'll shoot people with bean bags instead of guns. It's going to be communications devices, headsets, for radios, communications, body armor. You can get some body armor. We've got some helmets coming in. And what we want to do is they've got some reaching supplies for you pop doors and that kind of stuff. And they've also got first aid bags we can carry trauma. Mike probably knows what those are. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're called trauma first aid bags that they'll trade for us.
Who is this guy again?
It's called the Bunker LLC, and Toby's done the research on these guys, so, and he knows, you know what I'm saying, more
Feels
than
like a
that.
surplus store.
He's military surplus.
So we give them, we trade the
3 Humvees.
3
Humvees.
3 junks for some supplies.
For, yeah, new stuff.
Then get what you can get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever deal you make.
I'd say they've been sitting under a rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on rock, they're on them, so.
Yeah, they're just probably down the way down there.
They really are. We don't use them. They're kind of obsolete, you know, what they are. The military
I
don't use
bought
them.
one here that had 46,000 miles on it.
Well, we bought one, the fire department bought one, had 6,000 miles on it. And we still use it, so.
Anyway, yeah.
But you gotta know what you're saying, you know, you get what you get, but for the one we bought down in Fort, it was in Fort Knox, it was over at,
Right?
no, it was there in Frankfurt. There's an army depot there, and that guy goes, take your pick, whatever you want. You know, one had 6,000 miles on it, take that one.
So anyway, you just want to.
That's what I'd like to do, yes, we can trade those
I'd
on.
say do it.
But those are all titled in your name, so you.
Yeah,
don't have to worry
they're
about
actually,
that.
there's only a title for one of them. So what we gotta do is we've already contacted the military. They told us just to send them the serial numbers and the information on the vehicles, and they'd send us the titles for them, and then we could go ahead and do it.
Anything else you gotta get rid of?
Well, yeah, that's something I was gonna mention to you guys too, and see how you want it. We have got our court order for the destruction and or sale of items that came from the evidence rooms. So we've got permission from the court. We actually was signed yesterday or today, they just was able to get to it. So we've got permission to be able to sell all that jewelry and sell all the guns and all the stuff we have as excess. Okay? What I gotta do is I gotta talk to probably, would be the Craig McKee, the Sheriff's Association attorney, and see how the difference is between a sheriff's auction or if it had to come under for you guys, like you said, like a county auction. So I was gonna talk to you guys and see what you thought would be the best route that we go with that. If I have a sheriff's auction, from what I know is that we would have a sheriff's auction and we'd go into, we've got an actual sheriff's auction line item on our budget for state auctions.
I think that because it is evidence and it is, I mean, I think it would automatically be considered, I think it would automatically come to yours, is what I think, if I'm not mistaken.
We had that auction last time, and
And-
we had a bunch of forfeited stuff.
Yeah, and that went to the sheriff.
Candy split it out,
And
this item.
And that's like the thing that was confiscated and stuff, that went to the sheriff's budget. So if, like this year has been all seized or whatever, or things that's maybe been stolen and never been able to be returned to the owner, that kind of stuff, I think would go directly to you. And I think that would be no problem whatsoever, and that's where it should go. Now, with that being said, I think that you, I'm gonna tell you that you need to do a full-blown auction on this. It's gonna bring you more money.
Would you have a set line for that, or would it go in your commissary?
No, there's a set line on it. Actually, I pulled it up. It's called County Auction Proceeds Sheriff.
Okay.
So that's what we're
And when he had that, we had that last auction.
Yeah. Because we
auctioned
actually,
everything off.
yeah,
and
we
it
auctioned
just-
everything off, and what the county highway had through their budget, it went back to them, and the sheriff's it went to them.
If it's tax
Yeah,
rated, that goes
yeah.
back to that. Now, a
Yeah.
lot of things are general, like our office.
Yeah.
If it's an auditor's desk or something, goes to the
Yeah.
county general. But also sometimes your order comes from the judge and will say, a third of this goes to the prosecutor, 2/3 goes, the judge may divide it up due to the prosecution costs and all that.
It's
So
not, though.
It's
It's
not.
strictly,
It's
yeah, it's an order for the sheriff's department to.
To-
Yeah, well,
Got it.
Order,
Yeah.
And as long as there's no additional clause on the end that says, and proceeds from the auction will be divvied up as such, and da-da-da. But as long, I'll go by the order, and whatever it says will go in whatever, yeah.
Then it would all go back into your budget.
But if your question is, do you hold an auction or do you put your stuff in the county's auction, I guess? Is
Yeah, that's
the
what I-
question you have?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, and then what I can do is now that I know how to set up, I can probably, like I said, just go ahead and have one, just a sheriff's auction only.
Yeah.
Because we've got
Do an
We've got some
online
stuff. Well, I don't care, you know what I'm saying? I'll let whatever we think will bring the most money, obviously.
Yeah.
Because we've got, I don't know how many, we've got several guns, and we've got, a box of jewelry, and we've got some stuff that we think that'll come, be handy to us to raise money to go back in our budget, help my crime. So,
Let me come and look at that,
Okay.
and we'll talk about that. How's
yeah,
that?
yeah. And I'll tell you what, I've got a Mike Nichols on the back, hired him as an evidence technician. He come in there and he went through cases, he got every bit of stuff sorted out. And he's done a tremendous job. We've even returned some property to people that didn't have it for a while, so we had it, so he was able to return some stuff, so.
Good.
That's a very important evidence, especially nowadays, you very know, it's a big stickler, so.
Yeah.
He's done an excellent job on it, I'm lucky to have him do it, because really, when you get, really, it's one of those things that you have to order somebody to be the evidence tech, because
Yeah.
nobody wants to do it,
Nobody
nobody
wants
wants
to
to
do that.
read for it, yeah.
I wouldn't. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, let me look at, see what you got, and we'll
Okay.
come up with that later. That sounds good. That's gonna generate you guys the most money, so we'll do that.
We're gonna do anything now, or just wait till you guys?
I think I'd like to look at it, see how, and then we'll come back in the next meeting right there, and let you know what we come up with, how's that?
Jerry, I'll make that Rocky email
Yeah,
and contract
let's
out
back
there.
into it, okay.
Looks like you're stuck.
That first paragraph, doesn't it? Looks-
March the 2023.
I love those auto renewals. Why do we have auto renewal
So they
contracts?
stick you because you forget about it. Just like that free trial.
Oh, I see here.
And you forget after 6 weeks, you forget, and then they start
Yeah,
charging
for
you.
a year.
And it was signed by, it says Commissioner, President of Scott County Commissioners, I can't read
And
the
it
rest.
was Kelly.
Kelly Robbins, okay. Yeah, so we are, it's done, I thought ours comes into the Scott County Sheriff's Office, that's the reason why I was
And
hoping
it's
that it was.
probably billed to the sheriff, but signed by the commissioners, and then you guys just, as a budget maneuver, you move it over to maintenance for payments dispersed out of that budget for the last half of the year.
And I'd like to see what's going on with it too, because it says here that now this is of course, you know what I'm saying, 17, but it says that the rate was $444.15 a month, and that was for 4 times a week pickup. So they're just doing it 3 times now, and it's costing us $600, you know what I'm saying, plus,
I see what you're saying.
Looks like a free
Charging us.
contract to me.
yes, that's what I say, yeah. So, and then they're charging us $55 a month for cardboard. All of them said they'd come pick up cardboard for free, so just tell them it's there, so they'll come and get every piece of it that we got.
All right, what I'm reading on this here, and I'm reading this real quick. Again, that was a base rate of,
They lowered.
they lowered it to $375 a month, it says with a new 3-year agreement. So if if they locked us into a 3-year agreement, we should be paying $375. What are you paying now?
671.
Sounds to me like he's-
$671. And the second thing is on the,
Well, this is the county's part.
This is our part, this is the whole one, this is the whole contract.
this is the
Oh,
whole
good for the
contract.
sheriff's office.
Yeah, what happens is you guys pay for it 6 months out of the year, and then I pay for it 6 months out of the year to have it done. Because the courthouse and everybody dumps it.
So they're doubling down on us here somehow, but, looks to me like, but anyway, let's look at this, and the liquidated damages here, it says you can get out of this, but again, let's look at that to see what it's, going, it may be cheaper to get out of it and go ahead, because it says that, what I'm reading in the event that the customer defaults under this agreement, the customer agrees to pay Rumpke a liquidated damages in a sum equal to the customer's monthly service multiplied by 6 plus $100 apiece to remove them containers. So if this is a 3-year contract, it'd still be maybe cheaper.
Yeah, but he owns the containers, so they're not moving any containers.
Yeah, that's their containers.
Oh, those.
Yeah, what we was gonna do is we could buy.
So,
Yeah, for
so
separate.
let's look at this, but the first thing we do, let's make a call to Rumpke here and see what, see if we can't talk to them. 'Cause what I'm reading of this here is, it says I can offer the following right here, the trash currently 4 weeks, at a base rate of $496 per month, and then they can lower it to $375 a month with a new 3-year agreement. And if this here says that it automatically went into a 3-year agreement, if I look back up to the top here, it says that that agreement went through March of 17, and notice was not given to auto renew, so it did renew for another 3-year term, and it's to expire March 1 of 2023. So what I'm reading here, this would be $375 a month.
If she's gonna renegotiate it, and I guess if we stay in a 3-year agreement, which we're basically there right now, almost, we're halfway, we're 2.5 years, she could get it down to 375. How is that in comparison with the cities?
The city is, $360 a month.
But I'm still
But
looking
you
at
know,
that.
I'd rather do the city. than-
Well, here's my take on that too,
Yeah.
it's like, I'd rather pay the city than
Yeah.
pay Rumpke.
Right.
And another thing about it too is that the city told me, they said, hey, we're just gonna, we'll have it 3 times a week, but he said, if you need it 5 days, we're gonna come dump it for you, and it ain't a big deal.
So let's,
So it's $499, this was like $500 a month times 6, right? That's the buyout.
4,500.
So it'd be,
yeah, so for a period of 3 years, I still think that, if we have to, but
Yes.
let's negotiate
So
that.
I'd like to see what kind of contract they got too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's- We're not paying that now. Like I said, we're paying $671 a month.
maybe we need to request an audit of our bills.
Sounds to me like they dropped their price
Maybe they
already.
need to take a look at the bills we've been getting. Maybe the sales rep needs to look at our bills and say, why are we, if this was our
Well,
contract.
Give
why are
us,
we
give
getting
us,
this?
until next meeting, we'll have to get lined out somehow. We'll come up with like,
By Rumpke's figures, even after they've lowered it to the 375 for a 3-year contract and $80 for picking up cardboard, that's $5,460, and if the city's gonna do it, $360 for 12 months, that's $443.20. You're already at, $1,000 more to stay with Rumpke, and if Baldwin said they'd come get your cardboard, you don't need the cardboard picked up, so.
And that's for 2 dumpsters with the city too, not just one.
So I see we can get out of it.
What you've got.
Well, you can,
Okay.
I don't know, it sounds good, he's already trying to
really
negotiate.
not that big a deal with you, you got more important things working on that, you're watching your dollars.
Yeah, that's what, when I was coming up, I was getting these bills from Rumpke for $600, what in the world?
Contact them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sign it,
not-
they wouldn't know sign it all.
Okay.
But I like
All right.
that, I'd rather have the city would do it.
The only other thing I've got, and I don't know if are you done now?
Yeah, about everything.
I've actually got a letter here, and this is for the sheriff's department. And this is and we've done this before, and I guess this is every year if we need to do this. And this is
Funds
says
for the bank.
it says be it resolved that the Scott County Board of Commissioners by a vote, and it's got yea or nay here, approve myself as chairman of the Board of Commissioners to execute any and all documents to renew a guidance line of credit for the Scott County Sheriff's Department in the amount of $125,000 and all advancements made against this guidance line will need to be executed by the chairman of the board of commissioners at the time of the draw. And what that basically is for him when he was trading vehicles, and it's got, there's, all he goes in, and of course he contacts us and says, hey, I've traded this vehicle for this vehicle, and it's a line of credit for him. And we done that last year, and I think, I don't know.
It works out very well, and here's the reason why, and this is the only reason why I can't spend money to get permission from you guys anyway, even though you're saying I can have it.
Yeah.
What works out best for us is like, say tonight, we have something happen, I lose 3 police cars. If I have to go out and buy 3 police cars, then if I've got that line of credit, I can go ahead and do it. Otherwise, we would have to wait a month. You sure come from,
Sure.
get the approval, then we'd have to wait for us to get all the contracts and everything drawn up. But this year, it allows us to go ahead and do it, and then would come, it's just a safety net, that's all it is. And like I said, I can't spend a penny of it, and wouldn't spend a penny of it unless you guys.
We've done it before, this ain't our first.
This
Oh,
is
no,
a
no,
renewal.
this is renewal.
It's a renewal, year-to-year thing, and if you don't use it, then they still got to renew it for the next year, and to make sure it's on board.
They don't just give you a blank check, you
No,
it's been
no,
an
it's-
emergency, maybe, it's what we sort of comes, and even then, you probably call us.
Oh, I would absolutely, yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Say, hey,
I wouldn't spend a penny out until I get you guys approved, yes, yeah.
So, again, and I think and it never exceeds that 125,000 either without coming back, so.
And we've never had to use it.
No, we've never used it yet, but it's an option for him and for any of the sheriffs that would need it in an emergency situation where they could be able to, you know, and again, lots of times if, I know that, and I know Kenny done that some, was be able to purchase straight from another police department too, and that was, you know, a real quick error, and I think it's been done by,
And this line of credit, that's not to a bank or nothing, that's.
West Banco.
it's West Banco, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't
it's-
see that on there.
Yeah, it's with West Banco, and,
Okay.
And something else too we can use it for is like, just talking about the generators. If that generator was to go down, to replace that generator costs us a lot of money, and I don't have the money, I just couldn't fork out. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys could or not, the money to replace that generator, you know, this allows us to be able to have extra funds in case we need to.
Okay,
It's
it's
just
just
a
West
safety
Bank
net.
on the agenda here, it doesn't say West Bank on here.
Yeah, that was, Russ emailed me that as an attachment to an email, but,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
That's all.
And that's my attestation that, you know, it was good for him.
Your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's gonna be my fault all the time. It always is, at home and at work.
Need a motion or anything on that?
yeah, I need a motion to approve this letter of credit, allow me to sign it.
I'll make the motion to, as the letter says, for the sheriff to have a credit of $925,000.
Do I hear a second?
Which will need to be executed by the chairman of the board of commissioners.
Yes, yeah,
I'll second that.
I'll make that unanimous.
And I actually signed it.
You sign it?
Yeah, see, my auditor.
It does, it does.
It
And
does,
then
yes.
mark it, vote on there,
I will,
3-0 on that.
yeah.
Okay, and that takes care of that there. Okay, and is that it on your part?
Yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions for me?
No, I will get with you.
Yeah, please do.
We'll get together real quick on that, take a look, and we'll decide together what might be your best.
Sir,
best-
appreciate
best-
that.
best-
Thank
You know, next Monday, you're gonna have some traffic details, aren't you? 56 South Cannon Apartment's gonna be closed for 30 days, so they're gonna be going around Lake Road, down Boatman, and every place else,
Going,
so.
it's going,
So they're
so
being redirected over to Weir Road. but that's-
weird, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully that's where they'll go.
Crash trucks in the ditch and everything else, so.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad to hear that then. What they need to do is get with Jill, make sure we got the proper signage and all that.
So the state's putting up signs, but there's, you might as well forget that, so.
Yeah, it takes somebody sitting out, maybe just have to, we'll see if it comes down to it, we can just set a reserve there or something, or a car maybe.
Well, sometimes I know they do it out in the state, they'll pay a police officer to sit out there, maybe pay, get a reserve to sit out there.
I guess it won't
It's
do
gonna be a
anything.
nightmare, you know. Hopefully it only lasts,
24-hour day, it's not
hopefully it only lasts 30 days, that's a busy road.
It is very busy, right?
the plan, the goal with, well, the setup is for them to turn left down Bolton, go Weir, and back up and around.
that need to just, have a decision on anything, but the county ordinance, I haven't seen it, we've been looking for it, about the speed limits on the road, supposedly 45, that there's a county answer of 35.
No, also 55.
Well, it's 55, and here's the reason why I say that is, and because we've done traffic, in order to change the speed limit on a roadway, there has to be a traffic study done. Traffic study has to deem what's feasible for that speed limit for that area, whatever it is. So we always went by state law, 55 mile an hour on roadway, county roadways and state roadways. So we get a lot of complaints, you see what I'm saying, about the speed limits. So just something to think about, if that's something, I don't know, and we talked to Bob Houston, I don't know that we might be able to make it a county ordinance and issue tickets in the ordinance where, like, Bob would be the,
Yeah.
like almost like
I was
a,
gonna
We've
say,
always talked about that, and
Yeah.
for that to be, for that to happen, we have to put signs on every road. And
We did,
I-
and we did, back some time ago, adopt an ordinance, countywide ordinance of 45 miles per hour on the county roads, and then found out that the only way to enforce that was to, every road had to be marked. Now, we can and have done population places, and mark that at 35. Now, again, you can do an ordinance to do that, say at a subdivision or something. You can do an ordinance, my understanding, because we have done that. But again, you have to mark it at 35 miles per hour, and you have to give legal notice and all that. And we thought and felt like that we should be able to just adopt a county-wide 45 miles per hour unless it was marked less. But again, it said that you had to post every road at 45 miles per hour.
he said, then I think you just start writing all your tickets
to the county ordinance.
to the county ordinance.
Yeah.
There's no, it's almost wondering.
And so, yeah, that's kind of a bad deal there. I mean, these roads that, even at 55 miles per hour, that's what it is on the state highway. And it's 55 is too fast on some of these roads, but it's hard to get that enforced. And
Well, we've got some folks that they want you to come out and put signs, and I try to tell them, I said, we just can't put a sign that says speed limit 55. I said, we can't do that. Or speed limit 25 or whatever.
Yeah, you can't do that. We can do, again, in a 35 mile per hour zone, or a 40 mile or 45, we can do that and mark it. But again, you have to, the ticket would be wrote through as a ordinance violation, not so much as a state law. So at that point,
there's
Then you gotta set up,
there's no teeth to it, and
but
it's-
now then you gotta set up a court system to take the money.
That's exactly right. And it's kind of like this old deal of counting to 3 with your kids, and you get to 3 and nothing happens, and then the first thing you know, and that's kind of the way it is. There's no lightning that
Trying
strikes.
to figure that analogy out
Yeah,
there.
well, there's got to be a lightning strike along the way, and if it don't happen, it don't happen,
Most of the places that you have a reduced miles per hour, it's not enforceable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, hey, we're asking you to do this, but if,
And you would ask.
All
Suggested.
this being said, I do think Austin does this, and I think they're doing it now. Aren't they? Am I wrong on that? Yeah.
Through a
They're
city
doing it
ordinance.
now. Yeah, somebody has to come in and take the money for the county.
And I think that's probably, to be honest, I think that's probably back years ago, like the JP's, Justice of Peace, and them, they, a lot of that traffic stuff went through there, and you could, but since without them, I don't think we can do that, without having a court, like you said, a court system that's going to handle
I don't
that.
think years
I don't
ago,
think they even.
most of those tickets ever went through a judge anyway, unless he was throwing them out.
I don't, yeah.
But the other part was that if you got a ticket, you went to the clerk's office, said, here's my ticket, here's your $35, and see you.
And I think that's what's happening in Austin. I think the attorney just
Exactly.
collects the money. If somebody says I'm innocent, then it's like, oops.
All right, we'll throw that in the trash.
Good defense.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think there's a happy medium, because like I say,
They're not.
I've asked other commissioners, and they say the same thing, said, you can do it, but every road in your county has to have.
And then there's
Be
also
posted.
stipulations, let's say that you're going to do a subdivision. So there's several
Yes.
driveways coming out there. There's also by the state
Yeah.
that tells us,
Lord.
okay, you know, you can't have a speed limit from 45 miles per hour and then you drop it to 30-mile-an-hour zone, because now you've got to sign that so many feet prior to that, because now, if you don't, then that can be considered as a speed trap or whatever, and they said, no, you can't, you would have to put it, and the cost of it is just astronomical, you know, it's just astronomical, is what it is. You know, Jill done it.
Yeah, well, I was just inquiring because like I said, they were supposed to, everybody keeps telling me, because, you know, that's the number one complaint you get.
It is, there is an ordinance already signed and in place
I usually
to do a 45 mile per hour, 45 mile per hour countywide speed limit. But again,
It's not enforceable.
There's no.
John, don't do that again. You know, I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Oh, warning
that-
ticket.
Yeah, it's not a lot of, my understanding without being
When they
posted.
come through my neighborhood, I just yell at them, so that's about as all you're gonna get.
Well, and I just wanted
If
to
they show
check
the
with
brake
you
lights
guys,
on
make
my
sure
road
it
in the
wasn't
house.
something I wasn't aware of, you see what I'm saying? I just want to make sure what I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, sure.
State
They'll
gives
take
us.
care of it.
Guys and so on.
Yeah,
Yes,
guy
I say when
can
the
change
brake
their
lights
laws a
come
little
on,
bit.
he said
Yeah.
everybody's in
Well,
the
I tell you what I
house,
think,
tells you to go
one
take
way
care
around
of
it would be is that, and
Walk
it's something
away,
that you get
somebody
involved with.
speeding down
Instead of putting a
the
speed
road,
limit sign,
but
they
he sees the
call
brake
it
lights
traffic
on,
control
He
device.
runs in the house.
And if it's, it'd be disregarding a traffic control device. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to do our own study, though, like I say, with high crash areas, pedestrian crashes, and deem it, you know, a problem. And put up
State
something
law
like
allowed
that.
to,
Yeah,
when you put up speed limit, you could do that.
yeah, traffic control, yeah, we could make it a traffic control device. It's just, it's no different than the construction zones. Yeah,
And-
school zones and
And
construction.
in all honesty, I mean, and let's just be honest, I mean, you know, the better roads you put down as far as the asphalt, the faster they go. You know, potholes has a way of keeping people
And the
slowed down.
straighter the road.
And you make it straight, and I know Double or Nothing out there south of 356, I know that's a pretty straight stretch through there, and I know that there's they have a lot of problems there, even though it's got a dip there, I mean, they wind them up out through there, and there's several roads that they.
And when you
they
tell
go
people
fast.
55 miles an hour, like, no way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when they come back and say, no, the county's got an ordinance. I said, and that's what I was wanting to make sure it wasn't nothing I wasn't aware of, because I'm like, they got an ordinance, but it ain't no good. It's just no
Pretty
good.
much.
So
what-
just
Yeah,
if
and
you're
that's what
gonna
we-
take it 55 miles an hour.
That's what I found, that's what we found out, is that we did pass the ordinance back several years ago to, like I say, make it 45 miles per hour across the board, unless it was marked less in high population areas. And come to find out that the 45 mile per hour end of it, they said you couldn't do that, not unless you marked every road. But I did understand that, again, that in the high population areas where subdivisions or whatever, where we did make it 35, now that is enforceable if they're caught running over the 35 miles per hour. But again, it is an ordinance violation. It's not a
But
state
I think state law allows you in those kind of, like hose edition or something.
Yeah, you can
I don't remember what it was, it was
It's
35.
35, yeah.
So I think that's already 35. Maybe
Yeah.
we might have to pass an ordinance to make it legal, I don't know.
But, and I think that's already in
Well,
place,
it's
them can
the
be
state
So
law.
enforced.
there's no
Yeah.
sign up, yeah, I know there's a law on it, but I didn't know.
It has to be.
Sometimes you have to figure out what is
Yeah.
considered.
What qualifies for this,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
What makes this a high traffic or high
low
kid zone, you know, is that what it is?
So it's, you could probably write 35.
Well, I just want to throw it out to you guys and see what you thought, see what, you know, if there's anything.
Let me tell you this much, we talked about this 30 years ago.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest.
Really? I mean,
And I found out a lot of things, in my tenure here, but, you know, even signage that says, you know, blind child area, deaf child area, or anything that you put up that says that, now, what I've understood of it, and again, by legal, they're saying that pretty well makes you liable if anything happens there. The county would be held liable because you've acknowledged
That there's a
that
problem.
there's a problem here, or not a problem, but there is a the person of disability that lives there, and the only thing, I guess, that you've done is put a sign up, and you've not changed anything else, like if it's a he owns whatever, it's what I've been told. You gotta be very careful on what you do there, because you open up the county for all kinds of liabilities, so, again, I don't know that. But, all right, we're done.
Any questions?
No. How's our population over there?
We're at 138, I think, today. So it's picking up some. And I'll just be honest with you, the judge has done a good job, the prosecutor, everybody, we're trying to work together to keep them down. But we're getting to that point now where is it that the people that are in there, the ones that need to be there. You're not that, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That we can't have them out on the streets because it's too dangerous and too many things going on. So we're getting to that point, but that's something that we have been keeping it under control with the judge and the prosecutor. So, matter of fact, I don't know if you've kind of seen, on a couple of releases there, we put that we had released on our own recognizance due to the COVID coronavirus situation going on. So,
That even happened to a judge.
yeah.
I know Clark County let the sheriff just do it. I don't know if they do it anymore or not. But the judge said he did it.
Right, he does, yes, it's our law.
All right, well,
We've been here too darn long ago. We got to talk to him. We got to get him out of here quicker.
I'll see those.
all right,
What
thank
are
you.
you talking about?
All right,
And we are mowing again too, so it's all taken care of too, so
okay,
we've released the guys to go out and mow.
okay, good, thanks. Hey, well, I'll talk to you later. I got one other thing that we might be able to use some on,
Okay.
if it comes to it.
Yeah, just let me know.
All right,
Okay.
That's the first time I've ever seen a sheriff come to a meeting in shorts.
It's 2020, gentlemen.
all right. All right, next up is a recommendation letter to the council for the annual director's compensation. And what I, for EMS,
Factors, both of them.
It's a dual purpose
The
letter.
911 interim and also the
Yeah.
EMS interim.
Again, where did I see that letter? Oh, here it is. That the 911 EMA interim would be compensated at a rate of $1,033 per week. That's $25 an hour effective April 19th until a permanent director is in place. And the EMS director would be compensated at $1,060 a week, which is $26.50 per hour until a permanent director is in place. So what's your thoughts on that? You
I'll
know,
make a motion, we already talked about it.
I thought we'd already agreed to it.
Well, I just wanted you to
We
approve
had to
the
do it
letter.
officially, I think.
Yeah.
I'll second.
and we will send that to the council, I guess, for approval on that, and I'll make it,
I'll second.
I'll sign this right here.
Please.
The,
That sounds like.
that's my grandson. I tell him that. Next, we got actually another letter of credit renewal, and this is, again, just one of the things that we do every year, and this is for West Banco, and it is to renew a letter of credit in the amount of $8,000 for the closure of the Scott County Transfer Station. What?
Well, that is an emergent, IDEM requires us to have a line of credit. Probably the minimum is 8,000 in case there'd be an emergency closure of the transfer station, or there'd be some reason why we would have to either shut it down or whatever. That's IDEM, it's a statutory requirement, so we have to hold this,
And
yes.
it's renewed annually, and it's time to do
I'll
it.
make a motion to accept that.
Motion made, unanimous, and it's got your signature on that, Tammy. So you can sign that.
Thanks, you got long arms, Ken.
I sent it airmail.
And,
And,
I'll get it.
consideration
Thank you, John.
of the June monthly claims, and that was, everybody had a chance to look at the claims.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
I'll make that unanimous. And this approval for Amazon Capital Services here, that was for the thermometers and things that, again, supplies and equipment. And I think this is one of them things here that also needs to be documented and kept for the,
We are,
for the
yes.
COVID stuff right here.
Say that again?
It's for like thermometers for, I think,
Oh, for the-
for out here, the health department, and the different one. And this is an amount of $1,478.05. So, I think, we should certainly document that.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, unanimous approval, I've got this place for signature.
It's me now, but
You need
Pass
the
it
postman.
Pass it down.
Thank you.
All right. June 19, 2020 payroll ratification here for,
I'll make a motion to accept.
second.
second, third,
Unanimous.
I get to make it unanimous out of
There you go, there you go.
Oh, so you did a second? I'm off.
You
that.
put it in, yeah.
He got praise earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
That's
you
the-
skip
that's
something,
gonna
by
pass
the
it
way.
this way, and then you pass it to her.
You skipped something.
What did I skip?
The letter of support for community corrections grant.
Well, I did, didn't I?
Mhm.
Okay, again, okay, let's switch back up, but then no big deal.
I just wanted you to get that, make sure you have that.
And it was a consensus of this board of commissioners to allow and support the 2021 IDOC grant application as deemed at their July 1st, 2020 meeting. And so I just need
I'll
a
make a motion.
second.
Second, third.
Joe makes it unanimous.
Oh, you're messing me up here.
Well,
I'm
you
used
did
to
that
moving.
second.
Yeah, I know, I'm
You
getting
anyway,
wrong.
buddy. Missed one day of work.
I signed that, I think it was probably you need to sign that one. Sign on it.
I know.
I said, see, I'm still messed up.
Thank you.
All right, now we're back to the consideration of the June 3rd, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion.
You want to second that,
I'm
Bob?
gonna ask you for it. You
Second.
second? I'll make it
Okay,
unanimous.
now I can write more.
There you go. Now, with that being said, this is bringing us to the end of our agenda. Do you have anything, Mike?
No, just that 56 is gonna be closed next week for 30 days, so.
Okay.
I know our fire department knows about it. I'm sure EMS does as well, so just, you're probably gonna get some phone calls.
Anything on your part?
Well, yeah, one real quick thing, Firehouse Road goes into Thomastown, goes back here and dead ends back here. I gotta talk to Houston about it, get the legal, but I think we're gonna talk to some neighbors, we'd like to close that up. Close it, vacate it, I don't know what the proper way of doing it is, but I gotta talk to Houston about it. It's just wide open, everybody's going back here four-wheeling all night long, upsetting people. So I think it's some legal steps we gotta go through here, make the neighbors know.
We have done that on other properties, and I think basically what you, I think, if I remember right on that, what we had to do is contact all the landowners, and they've got to be at least, the fire department and the landowners all have to have access, if I'm not mistaken, which could be a key or whatever.
So you're talking from Thomastown to the Austin side of
No,
Thomastown?
No.
Firehouse where it goes across to Thomastown.
So you're talking
And then go
straight.
straight on back into the
Alright, so
Skagit
yeah, I
River.
know, I've been back there, that's where we go
Yeah.
do our water rescue.
And I think most everybody
That's
out there
DNR
wanting it.
property.
I mean, I've had neighbors call me wanting it, but I think it's a legal process.
Yeah, I think that there is, and we have done some roads like that, so it is possible to be done.
There's a farmer back there, but I think outside of the
Tuma.
farmer,
Tuma, there's a,
Yeah, there's a
Tuma
little
Farm on
behind
there.
the jail here on some property out there too.
but DNR, after you get through the river,
Yeah.
DNR runs
owns all
everything
that
out
up
there.
there, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I was gonna talk to Bob about that, and I didn't get a chance to.
I will say this, real quick, I had a meeting yesterday, actually, with the drainage board. It wasn't an actual drainage board meeting, but it was myself and Everett Huntley was there. And we met with DNR, and we have met with 3 people from the DNR there. And I'm gonna tell you that I was pretty excited about the news they gave. That has changed a lot. To remove log jams out of the river or out of the tributaries, we do not need to be permitted for DNR. If it falls in there, we have the right to go dig it out. There is also some monies grant monies that could be available, and in the tune of possibly $100,000 that we are going to apply for. And that will help us hopefully be able to remove some of them and
So if the
keep
beaver chews one down that drops in the creek, can we get it out?
We, oh, yeah, we,
Get beaver out.
as far as I'm concerned, if he's in there when we dip it out, that's his problem, his problem.
But here for a while, you couldn't touch it.
Yeah, that is true, but now, but they did say that, you no longer have to be permitted to do that, to get log jams out, so.
Good deal.
I'm glad to hear
But they
that.
basically don't do it anyway, do they? Just kind of leave it to us. I mean, we'd have to approach them to get it done regardless.
What's that?
The log jam cleared out.
No, we've got, we can go down, as long as
Before
we're,
this,
but,
I mean, the past, did you have to go?
oh, yeah, you had the DNR and Corps of Engineers and all, but
IDEM.
that's kind of, IDM and everybody was involved, but it's really changed up some, and I think so much for the better. No, I've got two other things here real quick, and we'll jump out of here. One thing is I would like to, I think we need to go ahead and schedule a meeting with the council, probably, and guys, I think we need to probably go ahead and develop some kind of COVID policy in case this does come back as, you know, the numbers is rising all across the country right now. And I think we need to have something in policy that says, here's what, you know, if we have to shut down again, here's what's going to happen. And I think we need to probably do something like that. So how you guys feel about doing something, but sit down with the
I
council?
agree with that.
You know,
Yeah,
I think we just need something that says, this is countywide, this is how we're gonna handle it.
It's what's gonna happen to you, if, or not.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, again, I think we just need something a little bit more concrete than we got. So I think we need to probably schedule something of that in the near future.
That works.
And you may talk.
You
to
guys
them.
have meetings actually back to back, not that, that's a lot to do in those 2 days, because the 14th, council's off schedule just a little bit because of the way the Tuesdays fall this month. And so the 14th and 15th, you will have back-to-back meetings, so if there's something that you want to get to council by the 14th, you guys can act on your part on the 15th, and it can be done in that 2-day period, so. But this is a
So
little
the-
too much to bite off between now and then.
So the
but
council's not gonna meet till July the 14th?
14th. That's the second Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, I was kinda hoping they'd look at that EMS stuff so we can at least get a third truck going.
Me too.
They could hire somebody in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, since the money's there, would they do something on a consensus?
Well, here's you do have money in the personnel lines already for paramedics and EMTs, but it's only budgeted for so many number of paramedics and so many number of EMTs. It's not like the part-time line for mass. So, it would take council action to up the count on the salary ordinance, which is basically what you're going for anyway. So unfortunately, this month, council was not meeting a week from tomorrow. They're meeting 2 weeks. Unless you guys want to try to get a special meeting going and it just focus on that, it wouldn't have to be so lengthy.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I wouldn't be opposed to, because I mean,
I think because,
the
again.
more we let that escalate with the hospitals, the more it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, my
This week's a
opinion.
short week, obviously. Tomorrow's the last day for this week due to July 4th holiday. And happy 4th, by the way. And, but next week, if you want me to try to get something posted, if I can post tomorrow,
Can
we
do
can have
something
as early as
next Tuesday,
Tuesday. Tuesday is
Really,
possible.
really, you gotta post to be council. We're gonna show up. Council's gonna.
If all three of us-
But if all
Be
three of
there.
you there, it's a joint.
It has to.
2 of you are there.
Well, I
together.
know, but I
Yeah.
mean, we can be there, don't we, anything unless they're there.
Well, that's what I'm saying, a
Yeah.
joint meeting for council and
I would,
commission.
I would
We
be,
should
I would
show
be good, I would be good with that. I think
What's
Tuesday, next Tuesday, that would give her time to post that Tuesday evening or.
Out there Wednesday.
But then again, I think
Have
it's
15, 20
work
minutes.
with the council wants to have a meeting.
If council can,
Yeah.
yes, so let me talk to
And
council,
we're-
let me reach out to them.
And as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty flexible about whether, if they want to do it in the morning or
Evening.
evening.
As long as it's
we
not a
know,
long drawn out thing.
yeah, I think as long as it.
Well, if we have a very distinct reason to meet. And that's gonna be only one or two things,
Yeah,
so we're
we
out
should be
there.
out here, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, okay, I'll reach out to council, and let you guys
That
know.
moves that down the road and
Yeah, I think that helps. That helps. Okay. All right.
So we're,
Okay, the only other thing that I am going to
so,
comment on here is, I think it, right now, if I figured this right, and I think I have, the food that we've been passing out, and again, I'm going to continue to thank you guys and everybody else that's been involved to help and help pass out the food and don't quit now because it's going to start again. We was off this week because that's what the USDA wanted to do, is sit back and reevaluate it. I have received word today that we will start back next week and it will run for 8 weeks. Now, with that being said, I think we're probably going to have to reevaluate and redo some things in the near future. But probably next week will be just as normal to normal pickup sites. But, you know, somewhere along the line, we're going to have to reevaluate. I know that at least Austin, because school is going to start back.
What are they saying about milk? Maybe
I
more
hope
lead.
it never sees it.
Well, I know, but I'm just,
Yeah, I think that's possible. That's two different companies there, and I think that's possible again. Again, I just don't want, if we do that, I don't think we want to try to do that all the same day again.
No, I said-
we spent about an hour extra.
Yeah.
I did see on Facebook where somebody, and I don't know what county or what community's getting it, but somebody is getting the Prairie Farm milk. And they're like, show up at the old JC store and we're gonna hand out milk. Well, I guarantee they're all there all day. But back to what you were saying about the changing it up a little bit, and I know you and I talked a little bit about it, I think in Austin last week. Possibly doing it one day, and, because eventually you're gonna run out of volunteers. And trying to do it in one day and have both locations in the same place.
And that's something that I think we talked about that, and I think that may have to
Is
come
that
to
our
our.
decision, or is that, I mean, the trucking company?
No,
They do theirs.
it would, they don't care, it would be our decision, but I think,
And the boxes are gonna be smaller.
and, yeah, the boxes are gonna have the same amount, but it will be
You're gonna
two
get
boxes
two
instead of
boxes.
one box. So, instead of having a 50-pound box, you may have a 35-pound box and a 15-pound box, or a 30-pound box and a 20-pound box. But you're still gonna get the same amount of food, same stuff,
Yeah.
but it's, and we won't go into the reasons why that's happening, but.
It embarrass somebody.
Yeah, it may embarrass somebody, but it is going to be in two boxes instead of one from this point forward. Now, again, they will stop it after 8 weeks and reevaluate again, and they may make changes then, and then but we're still on track. And as of right now, the best, my figure is right here is $825,000 worth of food has been passed out here in Scott County. So next week we'll pass the $1 million mark on food given out. So that's a
I'm
lot.
not hearing this happen in other counties. I suppose it is.
It's happening.
It's happening in different areas, but this food giveaway, the box giveaway, I don't know of another county around that's got it right now. I've been contacted by some other people and that they've not been able to.
Well, the drivers
Yeah.
say they go to Fort Wayne
Yeah.
and another place, but so.
It's, yeah, we're pretty fortunate, right? We're pretty fortunate, and great that we've been able to pass it out, I think, so. All right, with that, we'll entertain a motion to get out of here.
Okay.
Oh, you got some?
Well, that letter that you received,
Yes.
I'm not gonna mention who the letter from or anything, but maybe in that executive or whatever session we're gonna have, maybe we can have a 15-minute or 20 minutes or whatever.
Or next Tuesday.
Yeah, yes, let's do it, let's do an
So
executive on
let's do
that. 'cause-
commissioner executive and a council joint. I'll try to get it set up for next Tuesday.
Houston here too.
Yeah.
And it might be a situation, I don't know if we want to talk and then have him come in, or if we want to do that, so. So I think that's a council,
Yeah,
but anyway, I think we ought to do it at the same time.
okay.
I'm done, I'll make a motion.
Let's get out of here. Good night. Thank you all.